Chapter 107. Big Brother Lin Feng. Aren't you a beginner martial grandmaster? Qin Ling's eyes widened. When did I say I was a beginner martial grandmaster? Lin Feng looked surprised. Suddenly, he saw Qin Ling looking behind him. Lin Feng looked back and smiled. So it was because of the blazing, iron, soaring dragon spear. To a martial artist, he could save on the titanium energy suit, armor, and everything else, except weapons were no good. If a martial artist didn't have a weapon, it was like cutting off an arm. I don't have money. Lin Feng shrugged. He was very honest. The ice-soaring dragon spear that Emperor Wu used weighed 8,000 jin. In the virtual hunter store, the price was as high as 15 million Tianwu coins. Even with a 50% discount, it would still cost 5 million Tianwu coins. It was far beyond what he could afford. Although he had the fire spiritual pill and the materials of the fire spiritual beast, but those were all things that couldn't be exposed. So it's like that. Qin Ling stuck out her tongue. Most martial artists were indeed very poor. Then, Big Brother Lin Feng, are you a senior martial grandmaster now? Qin Ling asked. Then, without waiting for Lin Feng to answer, Qin Ling shook her head. No, although that Mad Bull is a senior martial grandmaster, he is still a 6-star hunter. Anyone could tell that it would be a piece of cake for Lin Feng to take his life. There is only one possibility, but why is beginner Emperor Wu in Cloud Sun City? Qin Ling muttered to herself. She suddenly raised her head and saw that Lin Feng had already walked far away. Qin Ling quickly chased after him. Stepping lightly on the mountain, Lin Feng wasn't in a hurry. According to Qin Ling, there was still a long time before the gathering time. From the start of the Beast Riot mission to the gathering time, there was nearly an hour to prepare. Walking on a mountain path that he had walked countless times, Lin Feng felt very familiar. Although so much time had passed, it was still deeply engraved in his memory. Where were the rocks? Where was the shortest path? He could see it clearly even with his eyes closed. Is this Big Brother Lin Feng's hometown? Qin Ling looked around curiously. Oh my God, such a dilapidated and backward village could actually nurture an expert like Big Brother Lin Feng. Unbelievable. The speaker didn't mean it. The listener meant it. Lin Feng stopped abruptly as memories of the past surfaced in his mind. His expression changed. That day, when his father asked him to buy the Lin family village, he thought that his father was nostalgic because the Lin family village was his hometown. But that wasn't the case. With father's personality, he would definitely not do such a pointless thing. Lin Feng thought to himself. It is said that no one knows a son better than his father, but the reverse is also true. What on earth is so attractive about the Lin family village? Lin Feng's eyes gleamed. Village, Li Erz's. Ruanzi said softly, but the magical beasts really like this place. According to statistics, Firmament City's Chihua Town is the area with the most beast riots. So strange, Qin Ling murmured. It was indeed strange. There must be a secret in the village. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. There must be a reason behind the abnormality. The village's strange was definitely not a coincidence. Lin Feng was convinced. At the foot of the mountain, a transparent light shield could be seen. An energy shield. Once it encountered danger, the energy shield would activate. It would appear milky white and cover the entire mountain range. Lin Feng vaguely remembered that time when he'd come here by himself and witnessed a scene that was unforgettable even to this day. An extremely fast spear. The mysterious martial warriors used flash of flowing light, and in the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint, he killed a blue-eyed violent bear that was over 20 meters long. The Blue Eyes Violent Bear, which was a high-level beast general, was as small as an ant. From then on, he truly understood the concept of a warrior and stepped on the path of a warrior. Phew! Lin Feng exhaled deeply. Feeling nostalgic, Lin Feng stepped out and left the energy shield. What he saw in front of him was no longer the boundless and uninhabited grassland. Instead, it was filled with people. Looking around, there were thousands of warriors gathered in groups of 3 to 5 and chatting with each other. It was extremely lively. Why are there so many people? Lin Feng was surprised. All right, the Hunter Mission Hall is not unique to Cloud Sun City. Lin Feng suddenly realized. Sky Marshal Continent had 4 great imperial cities and 16 counties. How many small cities like Cloud Sun City were there? Come here. Ruanzi waved her hand. Lin Feng nodded and followed Ruanzi and Qinling. He looked around. Everywhere, there were Sky Marshal Army soldiers in uniform, led by a major or lieutenant colonel. They walked around and patrolled with serious expressions. Guarding the border is the responsibility of the Sky Marshal Army. Ruanzi said slowly, the Sky Marshal Army has the most experience in dealing with beasts. Later, we just need to listen to orders. Lin Feng answered softly, not minding it too much. Listen to orders? If they were stronger than him, it was fine to listen to orders, but if they were weaker than him, that was too laughable. He was here to earn points. Soon, under Wanzi's lead, Lin Feng and the other 2 handed over their hunter cards and received a points badge. It was a circular energy device. Seeing Ruanzi put it on her chest, Lin Feng did the same. Instantly, there was a flash of light and the points badge merged into the titanium energy suit. What's the use of this thing? Lin Feng asked curiously. The points badge can record all kinds of information about a warrior. It's convenient to check and calculate points. Ruanzi explained, because the beasts are not allowed to collect materials. After it's over, we have to use the points badge to distribute the profits and points. The more you work, the more you get. I see. Lin Feng understood. Indeed, once the beast started, the beasts would cover the sky and cover the earth. There would be no time to kill them. So who would have the time to collect materials? Even if they killed all the beasts, would the surviving warriors go and steal the materials? Because the beasts are dangerous and have a high death rate, the hunter card will be left behind before the mission begins. Ruanzi said slowly, if a warrior unfortunately dies, the Heavenly Martial Army will give the balance of the hunter card to his family as compensation. That's quite humane. Lin Feng nodded. If a warrior sacrificed himself to fight against the beasts, they would naturally treat his family well. Just as they were talking, suddenly, Lin Feng gasped. He saw a familiar person in one of the Heavenly Martial Army soldiers. Colonel Li Tong. Lin Feng. Li Tong was also surprised and walked over. Long time no see. Colonel Li. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. When he participated in the warrior combat assessment, Li Tong had left a good impression on him. Frank and generous. Lin Feng. Beside Li Tong, a short blond man smiled and said, do you still remember me? Lin Feng raised his head and looked. The 2-meter-tall man was very eye-catching. He smiled and said, of course I remember you. Li Meng, Lieutenant Colonel Li. When he was in Chihua Town, Li Meng had tried to recruit him. Lin Feng's memory was still fresh. I didn't expect Brother Lin Feng to become a beginner martial grandmaster in such a short time. Li Meng glanced behind Lin Feng and said in surprise. Not only that, Li Tong smiled and said, Brother Lin Feng is now the favorite of the Shao Yang martial sect. He is ranked first among the new stars with potential. So powerful? Li Meng was speechless. Ranked first? Wasn't he ranked 10th? Lin Feng froze and immediately understood. That's right. The little sword demon, Qi Mu, who challenged me that day, was ranked first among the new stars with potential. Maybe it was because he defeated him that his ranking rose. That day, I was on a mission and couldn't recruit Brother Lin Feng. Li Meng sighed half-jokingly. Otherwise, my Tianwu army would have gained another powerful general. It's all your fault. Li Tong glanced sideways at Li Meng and joked. Looking at Lin Feng, Li Tong nodded approvingly. You dared to fight against the beast riot and fight to protect humans. That's a real man, a real man. Good job, Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled and didn't explain much. When he saw Li Meng and Li Tong again, he didn't feel as distant and unfamiliar as before. They interacted with each other as if they were normal friends. At this moment, a loud bugle horn sounded. Li Tong and Li Meng's expressions instantly turned solemn. The beast riot is approaching. Lin Feng, be careful. Li Tong patted Lin Feng's shoulder. Take care. Li Meng nodded. Then, the two of them left. The sound of the bugle horn meant that they were gathering. It also meant that the beast riot was coming. Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly. He looked into the distance with a hint of excitement and anticipation. Let me introduce myself. I am Major General Jiang Luo, who is in charge of this beast riot. On the high platform, a man dressed in a neat military uniform spoke with a serious expression. His aura made people hold their breaths. On his shoulder, there was a dazzling golden star, signifying his identity as a major general. The crowd instantly quieted down. This was the least they could do to show respect to an expert. A major general meant that he had the strength of an early-stage Emperor Wu. Also, I have something to tell everyone that is worth being excited about. Major General Jiang Luo's expression softened. He nodded and said, "This time, we have an intermediate-stage Emperor Wu participating in the battle." Wow, that's great. Everyone was in an uproar. Loud whistles sounded. Everyone was in high spirits before the battle. Lin Feng looked to his side. Even Qin Ling's face was red. She was obviously very excited. Big brother Lin Feng, there is an intermediate-stage Emperor Wu. Qin Ling pulled Lin Feng's wrist and said happily, "This time, we will definitely win." Lin Feng smiled. He had heard Qin Ling mention this on the way here. It was the beginning of the beast riot. The strongest magical beasts were only at the Lord tier. Most of them were early-stage Lord tier magical beasts. Intermediate-stage Lord tier magical beasts were already very rare. If an advanced Lord tier magical beast were to appear, it would take at least a few months. Therefore, with an intermediate-stage Emperor Wu holding the fort, they were basically guaranteed to win. Let me introduce him to everyone. Major General Jiang Luo nodded with a smile and said, "Scorching Sun Sect, Tiger Roaring Blade Hu Yanming." Following Major General Jiang Luo's gaze, they saw a cold-looking man standing at the side of the high platform with his arms crossed in front of his chest. A huge scabbard hung at his waist. Just the scabbard alone was worth a lot. Tiger Roaring Blade. Hu Yanming nodded and did not say anything. His sword-like eyebrows made him look very proud and aloof. This was the intermediate-stage Emperor Wu. All the warriors looked at him with reverence. Even Qin Ling's eyes lit up, and she pursed her lips. In the martial heaven continent, the strong were always revered by the people. At this moment, Lin Feng's ears twitched as if he had heard something. His eyes instantly looked into the distance and shone brightly. Thank you to all the friends who subscribed to my work. Thank you to all the friends who tipped me. Thank you to all the friends who voted for me. And thank you to all the friends who sent me your recommendation tickets. In the new year, I wish everyone good health and all the best. May you all be prosperous. _intersection. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 108. All right, let's assign the tasks. Major General Jiang Luo said firmly. As a heavenly martial army soldier and a major general, Jiang Luo had all the characteristics of a soldier. Courageous, decisive, simple, and direct command. Everyone split into 3 groups. The first group will be led by Tiger Roaring Blade Hu Yanming. All beginner Emperor Wu and 7-star hunters stepped forward. In an instant, figures flashed in the crowd, and 8 warriors stepped forward one by one. Every time a person appeared, there would be a lively uproar. It should be known that any martial emperor was a well-known figure among cultivators. Lin Feng hesitated for a moment before stepping forward. The uproar stopped abruptly. Everyone stared at Lin Feng, the titanium energy suit on his body, and the blazing iron soaring dragon spear on his back. They were all stunned. No matter how they looked at it, this little guy didn't look like a beginner Emperor Wu. Lin Feng, Li Tong, and Li Meng looked at each other. Big brother Lin Feng. Qin Ling covered her mouth in shock. She couldn't believe it. The crowd began to discuss spiritedly. Everyone looked at Lin Feng with suspicion in their eyes. Only Ruan Zi remained calm, as if she already knew. Major General Jiang Luo frowned slightly. Just as he was about to speak, Lin Feng looked into the distance and said indifferently, "Don't waste time. Quickly assign the tasks. The magical beast army will be here soon." Once these words were spoken, everyone immediately shut their mouths. At this moment, Tiger Roaring Blade Huyen Ming's ears twitched and his expression changed greatly. It wasn't because of the arrival of the magical beast army, but they're here. Tiger Roaring Blade Huyen Ming's eyes brightened as he stared at Lin Feng. He was extremely shocked. In terms of hearing, he actually lost to this little guy in front of him. Major General Zhang Luo's eyes sparkled as he stared at Lin Feng curiously. He waved his hand and shouted calmly, "The second echelon will be led by Colonel Gong Li. All long-range attackers, get ready immediately. The third echelon will be led by Colonel Li Tong. All close combat, advanced martial grandmasters, and six-star hunters are on standby. The fourth echelon, the fifth echelon." Not long after, Major General Zhang Luo finished assigning the mission. His words were concise and comprehensive, but they were as precise as a knife. In an instant, rumble, the earth shook violently, and all the cultivators held their breaths, excitement and nervousness showing on their faces. Intense roars rang out, and the strong stench of beasts made people want to vomit. Lin Feng looked over and saw a cloud of dust in the distance. A horde of beasts was rushing over like a tide. The beast horde's rampage had finally arrived. Second echelon, long-range attackers, get ready. Zhang Luo's eyes lit up. Fire! Whoosh! Whoosh! The sound of air being pierced rang out. Lin Feng looked over and was immediately amazed. The dense rain of arrows was like a meteor shower. Silver arrows and golden arrows converged into one, forming a beautiful scene. The endless horde of beasts brought with it a violent cloud of dust. Mournful roars rang out, and it was chaotic. At this moment, third echelon attack. Kill the advanced level beast general. Second echelon, stop attacking and retreat. Recover your strength. Zhang Luo shouted, commanding calmly. In an instant, the third echelon led by Colonel Li Tong let out an angry roar and rushed forward. Tiger Roarblade Huyen Ming stood calmly. The beast horde's rampage had just begun. Even the horde lord had not appeared, so there was no need for him to personally take action. Huyen Ming suddenly remembered what had just happened. He couldn't help but turn his head and look at Lin Feng. Where did he go? Huyen Ming's face was filled with confusion, and he frowned. With his strength, he didn't even know when Lin Feng disappeared. Lin Feng had already mixed into the third echelon. That Major General's command is not bad. Lin Feng thought, rationally distributing strength and tasks, maximizing a fighter's strength. For a fighter, strength was very important, especially when the beast horde rampage would last for several hours. If one's strength was insufficient, the consequences would be unimaginable. I'm idle anyway. That frightening horde of beasts was right in front of him. Lin Feng suddenly sped up and smiled indifferently. It's better to kill more beasts. It doesn't matter if they're intermediate-level beast generals or advanced-level beast generals. When the time comes, I'll get a one-time upgrade point. His soul power was limited, so he couldn't excessively use the strength of a fire spirit master. But his strength was limitless. Clang! The blazing iron soaring dragon spear emitted a fiery red light, blooming with a sinister appearance. Too light. Lin Feng felt helpless, but he couldn't do anything about it. I'll just have to make do with it. Li Tong was at the very front, leading the charge. Suddenly, a familiar figure flashed past him. Looking over, he saw the figure holding the soaring dragon spear and wearing a different level 4 titanium energy suit. Li Tong was immediately shocked. Lin Feng. Li Tong's expression changed. Why is he here? However, there was no time to think, because the battle was about to start. Boom! Rumble! Dust flew everywhere. The terrifying horde of beasts' iron hooves caused everyone to tremble in fear. The deafening roars of beasts were endless. Just as Qin Ling said, those with a little less courage would probably be scared to death. This was a real war. Lin Feng was at the very front. Looking at the rampaging horde of beasts, his gaze suddenly caught a glimpse of a rather conspicuous existence, a blue-eyes violent bear that was over 20 meters tall. Its entire body was covered with black, steel-like fur. Its thick and solid lower limbs were like two black pillars that reached the sky. Its strange blue eyes flickered. The blue-eyes violent bear's steps were heavy and powerful. Its heavy breathing was accompanied by a low growl. It instantly surpassed the other beasts. So familiar. Lin Feng's gaze blurred as he lightly muttered. In an instant, killing intent was revealed. The soaring dragon spear in his hand flickered with a dazzling light. With a shake, Lin Feng's steps were like lightning. His body turned into a ray of light. Spear move, flowing light flash. Pong! The sound of the explosion was like thunder, leaving a lingering sound. The blue-eyes violent bear's chest was badly mutilated. It was completely pierced through. The huge bloody hole had a diameter of 10 meters. Fresh blood flowed out. It was extremely horrifying. Plop! The huge black bear's corpse fell, causing the ground to cave in. Lin Feng held the spear in his hand and calmly stood beside the corpse. At this moment, he seemed to have returned to half a year ago. It was like reincarnation. Looking at the already dead blue-eyes violent bear, Lin Feng's heart inexplicably throbbed. Because of the weapon, he couldn't fully display the power of the spear move. But right now, his strength alone had exceeded 100,000 Jin. How hard would it be to kill a mere high-level commander rank blue-eyes violent bear? At this moment, the people behind him couldn't help but gasp. Oh my god, so powerful. But isn't he in the first echelon? Zhang Luo's face was calm. He coldly snorted and said, "You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth." He had seen many people like Lin Feng. Although he had strength, he showed off too much. This is a beast riot. Let's see how you deal with it when you run out of stamina. Warriors were originally arrogant and unruly. The stronger they were, the more arrogant they were. In a beast riot, Zhang Luo had seen too many warriors who acted on their own and didn't listen to orders. Mediocre movement, unskilled spear moves. Tiger Roar Blade, Hu Yinming, had a faint disappointment in his eyes. In his eyes, Lin Feng was only a normal beginner Emperor Wu. Third echelon, retreat and rest. Fourth and fifth echelon, attack and eliminate all magical beasts below mid-level commander rank. Second echelon, stop attacking and retreat and rest. First echelon, attack. Time passed bit by bit. The battle was extremely intense and didn't stop for a moment. A bloody mist condensed in the air. The thick smell of blood mixed with the stench of corpses made this grassland look like hell on earth. Most of the corpses were magical beast corpses, but there were also hundreds of warriors who died. How could there be no deaths in a war? As the only mission in the Hunter Mission Hall that didn't require a star rating, Beast Riot had a danger that matched its reward. However, there was an exception. Impossible. Zhang Luo stared blankly. He was so shocked that he couldn't speak. For more than 6 hours, the 5 echelons fought while taking turns to rest. However, Lin Feng didn't stop for even a moment. Monster! Damn, this is too savage. Damn, this kid can't be a magical beast in human skin, right? Everyone was talking one after another, their eyes filled with jealousy and envy. When Tiger Roarblade, Hu Yinming, heard this, he faintly revealed a disdainful smile. Just by relying on his talent. So what if he kills? In Hu Yinming's eyes, Lin Feng was simply unreasonable. A high and mighty Emperor Wu-level expert mixed in with the martial grandmasters. As long as it was a beast general, he wouldn't let go of it. What was he doing? It was like a rich man robbing a beggar. Too embarrassing. At this moment, behind the beast horde, there was a violent tremor. The shocking roar seemed to tear the sky apart. The originally defeated beast horde suddenly seemed to be injected with chicken blood. In an instant, the morale was raised. Many warriors who couldn't retreat in time were hit. Third echelon, retreat and rest. First echelon, immediately go forward and kill. Giant beast horde leader, Zhang Luo's eyes emitted a scorching light. Finally, After more than 6 hours of intense killing, the main force of the beast horde finally arrived. Hu Yinming moved. Hua! The tiger roar blade flashed with a cold light. In the blink of an eye, he scuttled into the beast horde. A cold light flashed. It was impossible to see how Hu Yinming attacked, but a large number of commander-level magical beasts had already died. At this moment, the tiger roar blade in Hu Yinming's hand emitted a soft cry and suddenly exploded with a powerful energy. Pung! The surrounding magical beasts were immediately cleared. Hu Yinming glanced at Lin Feng as if to provoke him. The corner of his mouth rose coldly. Oh! Lin Feng was slightly surprised and couldn't help but look over. In an instant, Hu Yinming clashed with a 70 to 80-meter tall, golden-horned lightning beast. This incomparably huge, giant beast horde leader seemed to be a little afraid of the warrior in front of it. It took a small step back. At this moment, Hu Yinming moved. His body seemed to sway in the wind. It was very illusory. The golden-horned lightning beast roared. Its huge palm slashed through the wind. Its attack speed was extremely fast. However, before the palm arrived, it had already poochie. Fresh blood spurted out. The golden-horned lightning beast throat that was like a 1,000-year-old pine tree was directly cut. It was extremely fast. What a terrifying attack. Lin Feng's eyes flashed with a bright luster. Hu Yinming's blade appeared in his mind like it was in slow motion. In an instant, the scene was replayed. From the moment the blade appeared to the end, it seemed very ordinary. However, when combined with the footwork, it was very simple and neat. Powerful! Lin Feng exclaimed in surprise. Perfect level movement technique. On the second day of a new year, Xiao Xiao wishes everyone a happy new year. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 109. Simple and direct. It's as if he has completely seen through the golden-horned lightning beast. Lin Feng's black pupils were constantly changing. Thousands of images flashed through his mind, deeply imprinted in his mind. The golden-horned lightning beast was like a demonic beast that had fallen into a trap. A dignified horned lightning beast with a horned lightning beast that could shake a region, yet it did not even have the slightest strength to resist. Rhythm, right? It's the change in rhythm. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. That blade just now, it basically controlled the golden-horned lightning beast's rhythm. Lin Feng suddenly understood. He continued to ponder over Hu Yinming's saber. He was trying to comprehend the essence of this battle. Suddenly, he felt as if his head had been struck with a boom. All the questions and doubts that he didn't understand in the past had been solved. It was as if a blocked river had suddenly broken through the dam. Good preparation. Proficient level movement technique is about changing the rhythm, connecting the attacking movement technique with the evasive steps, and perfect level movement technique is about turning passive into active. Lin Feng nodded. At this moment, he finally understood. Let's give it a try. Lin Feng did not care what time it was. At this moment, the Beast Horde's riot was at its peak. The first echelon was fighting with the main force of the Beast Horde. The third echelon was cooperating with the second echelon to kill the fishes that had passed through the first line of defense. At the crucial moment, Chi, cold light sparkled. Lin Feng held the leaping dragon spear in his hand and constantly stabbed. Together with his footwork, his attack speed was quite fast. However, on the other hand, the rainbow fox on the other side was extremely agile. Its colorful fur was bright and beautiful, and it constantly dodged and borrowed positions in the narrow space. Lin Feng could not even touch a strand of its hair. Instead, he was hit by the rainbow fox's fierce counterattacks several times. So difficult, Lin Feng thought. It was easy to know, but hard to do. Comprehending, understanding, and mastering were two different things. Moreover, among the horned beasts, the rainbow fox was famous for its speed. Dodging and evading in a small area was its specialty. Ridiculous. Hu Yanming coldly smiled. He glanced at Lin Feng from the corner of his eyes. Naturally, he understood what Lin Feng was doing. A perfect level agility technique is not something that can be learned by practicing at the last minute. Shaking his head, Hu Yanming immediately went to hunt the next beginner level horde leader. Bang! A violent explosion sounded. Lin Feng and the rainbow fox collided head-on and immediately separated. That's not right. Just now, didn't I return to my own rhythm? Lin Feng muttered to himself. Killing the rainbow-colored fox was a very simple matter for him. But it was not easy to find a sparring partner. The rainbow-colored fox's dodging ability was one of the best among the low-level almighty beast overlords. More importantly, its speed was on par with him. He was definitely an excellent sparring partner. Take control of the rhythm and turn passive into active. Returning to the origin, since I want to control the rhythm, then I have to adapt to all kinds of rhythm. Try to learn its rhythm. You might be able to comprehend it. Lin Feng muttered to himself and immediately nodded. The light in his eyes shot out in all directions. In an instant, Lin Feng rushed toward the rainbow fox. Look, the rainbow fox has the upper hand over there. No wonder he has been hunting the general-level magical beasts. It turns out he can't beat the horde leader. Maybe he has exhausted his stamina. All the cultivators discussed with each other, but they seemed relaxed and at ease. At this time, the beast riot had reached its peak, and looking at the current situation, the human cultivators undoubtedly had the absolute upper hand, so it was naturally something to be happy about. He's actually training his movement at this time? Zhang Luo didn't know whether to laugh or cry. God, this is a beast riot. That's the feeling. Lin Feng nodded. He saw, when the rainbow fox moved, he retreated. When the rainbow fox moved sideways, he also moved sideways. When the rainbow fox paused, Lin Feng also paused. And in an instant, Lin Feng's right foot fiercely stepped on the ground, and his body quickly jumped back. It was almost exactly the same as the rainbow fox's speed change. He dodged it easily. So this is the rhythm of the rainbow fox. Lin Feng smiled faintly. At this moment, he seemed to be able to control the rainbow fox. The rainbow fox in front of him became extremely slow. Lin Feng's eyes glowed. In an instant, a hot fire dragon coiled up. Spear move, red snake flame dance. One block, one block. The blazing iron, soaring dragon spear was like a poisonous snake pouncing on. The rainbow fox hissed and staggered as if it lost its center of gravity. The position of the space was completely predicted by Lin Feng. The originally empty space on the left was now sparkling like a dancing fire snake. In an instant, the fire snake made a simple entanglement and fiercely jumped up. It went straight for the rainbow-colored fox. So this is how the red snake flame dance is used. Lin Feng's eyes were burning. He couldn't figure out why the other spear moves were only one move, but the red snake flame dance took up 3 moves. It was mixed with control, connection, and attack. Although it had 4 times the power, in terms of attack speed and attack power, it might not be comparable to the third move, Flash of Flowing Light. Only when combined with the perfect level body technique can the true power of the red snake flame dance be displayed. Lin Feng's lips curved up indifferently. In an instant, it was like a sharp arrow piercing through. The sound of the explosion was shocking. The rainbow fox's blood-red eyes were wide open, and the roots of its tail exploded into pieces. However, the rainbow fox was a low-level giant beast after all. Its vitality was indeed strong. If it was an ordinary magical beast, it would have died long ago. But it was only a little bit late. Die! Lin Feng's eyes were burning. The blazing iron, soaring dragon spear shook and suddenly turned into a stream of light and flew away. Boom! A violent explosion. Lin Feng stood calmly with his spear. The eyes of the rainbow fox beside him were white. It died miserably, and blood flowed like a river. Big brother Lin Feng is really powerful. Qin Ling's eyes flashed. Did I see wrongly, father? Li Mang shook his head and smiled bitterly. Lin Feng, he really killed the rainbow fox. Li Tong looked at Lin Feng as if he was looking at a monster. His heart was in turmoil. Looking at Li Mang, he sighed. In just 5 months, he actually rose from a mid-level martial warrior to a low-level Emperor Wu. Li Meng nodded. Indeed, it was too shocking. As far as he knew, there was no warrior in the Tianwu continent who had such a terrifying speed of cultivation. However, only a small portion of the martial artists were watching the battle between Lin Feng and the rainbow-colored fox. Most of them were staring at the tiger roar blade, Hu Yinming. They saw him brandishing his battle blade like a god descending. Everywhere he passed, blood flowed like a river. No one was his match. The sound of the tiger roar came wave after wave. Not only did it make the warriors' hearts palpitate, it also made the beast horde extremely terrified. Lin Feng had only killed one rainbow fox, but Hu Yinming had already killed more than 10 low-level giant beast horde leaders. It was obvious how clumsy they were. Again, let's continue. Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly. With just a little feeling, he naturally had to strike while the iron was hot and properly explore the perfect stage movement technique. Beast Horde Riot? Let go to hell. Silver Ridge Lion. Lin Feng quickly found his next target. The lion with the silver crown seemed to be high and mighty. Looking at it, Lin Feng's lips curled into a smile. Next, it's you. Strange. Something's not right. Jiang Luo frowned, deep in thought. As the commander of the Beast Horde Riot, he did not need to participate in the battle. He was only responsible for the overall situation. Usually, when a danger level is level 7, there will not be more than 10 low-level giant Beast Horde leaders. Jiang Luo muttered. When a danger level is level 8, there will only be 20 to 40 low-level giant Beast Horde leaders. Level 7 meant that the Beast Horde Riot in the area was at the level of low-level giant Beast Horde leader. When the danger level is level 8, it meant that there will be mid-level giant Beast Horde leaders. But there were already 43 giant Beast Horde leaders. Impossible. Jiang Luo's expression changed. This is only the initial stage. According to the estimation, there are still a few months before a high-level giant Beast Horde leader appears in the Beast Horde Riot. Even if it's earlier, it can't be this early. Although there is something strange, it should be a coincidence. Jiang Luo nodded. In an instant, first echelon, stop attacking. Retreat and rest. Second and third echelon, attack. Prioritize the high-level giant beast generals. Jiang Luo shouted loudly. His voice spread throughout the entire battlefield. After a period of frenzied slaughter, there were only 3 low-level giant beast horde leaders left. Although the number of warriors with the strength of low-level Emperor Wu had increased to 16, Jiang Luo was still very cautious, just in case. The rest was left to the second and third echelon. As for the 3 low-level giant beast horde leaders, what a monster. Jiang Luo looked at Lin Feng, who was fighting with the Silver Ridge Lion, and shook his head and sighed. Although he didn't like how Lin Feng acted alone, but he was convinced. That's the feeling. That's right. Lin Feng's eyes shone. With the experience from last time, he quickly felt the rhythm of the Silver Ridge Lion. The soaring dragon spear flashed with a fiery red luster, like a fiery serpent that was rapidly approaching Lin Feng's face. It was as fierce as thunder and as fast as wind. Lin Feng's body seemed to become blurred, leaving behind many afterimages. Each of his steps had a unique rhythm. Hua, hua, hua. The blazing iron soaring dragon spear emitted a loud sound. Rumble. The Silver Ridge Lion's 100-meter-long giant body fell to the ground. The bloody wound was shocking. Everyone was dumbfounded by what they saw. Perfect level body movement technique. This is a perfect level body movement technique? How is this possible? Whether it was Hu Yinming, Jiang Luo, or even some low-level Emperor Wu who had witnessed Lin Feng's strength, they were all shocked. Lin Feng's body movement technique was only at the expert level. How could he reach the perfect level in such a short time? It was too illogical. One had to know that the perfect level body movement technique not only required talent, but also countless battles to slowly comprehend it. Mastering the rhythm wasn't something that could be achieved overnight. However, they didn't know that Lin Feng's soul was far stronger than ordinary warriors. His shockingly powerful soul power allowed Lin Feng to have extremely strong senses. This was the essence and foundation of the perfect level body movement technique. The feeling of battle. I wish everyone a happy new year and all the best. Update notice, starting from the 7th day of the new year. Prepare to explode. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 110. Once the feeling came, it would get out of hand. Lin Feng, who had completely entered the state, seemed as if he had suddenly learned a peerless secret manual. In a split second, one could only see the light of the spear bursting out and the fire snakes creeping out. What a strange feeling. It's as if an invisible hand is controlling everything. Lin Feng murmured as he shuttled through the huge horde of magical beasts. Suddenly, one magical beast after another fell down. All of the general-level magical beasts were killed in one hit. Even the last two low-level horde leaders were unable to escape the fate of death. Rumble, the two mountain-like bodies fell, as if announcing the end of the beast rampage. Without a low-level giant beast lord, the beast horde seemed to have lost their center of gravity. They couldn't even stand steadily, and their morale was extremely low. Under the leadership of Lin Feng, the second and third echelons quickly, it was a massacre in all directions. Second and third echelons, retreat and rest. Fourth and fifth echelons, attack with all your might. Jiang Luo shouted again. Seeing that the high-level beast generals and the beast horde had been exhausted and that the mission was about to come to an end, Jiang Luo returned to the main force. Looking around, Yang Kai saw that all the cultivators present were overjoyed, but only Jiang Luo was still frowning, as if he was afraid of something. Phew! After killing another mid-level general, Lin Feng let out a long breath. After the continuous slaughter, he had already faintly touched the essence of the perfect movement technique. Even if it was still lacking compared to the Tiger Roar Blade, Huyan Ming, it could at least be considered a beginner. It's about time. With a slight shift of his body, Lin Feng left the battle. The rest of the shrimp soldiers and crab generals couldn't even find a single high-level beast general. No matter how many he killed, it wouldn't help him increase his strength at all. In actual combat, when facing an opponent of equal or stronger strength, there would be improvement. Pa, pa, pa. It was unknown who started it, but the clear applause sounded one after another, giving Lin Feng a fright. He looked over and saw that everyone's eyes were focused on him, and the applause was given to him generously. Among the crowd, Qin Ling's face was flushed red, and she was the most enthusiastic. This was a form of respect and honor for the strong. Aside from Tiger Roaring Saber Huyan Ming, even the beginner-level Emperor Wu in the first echelon clapped in admiration. How many magical beasts had died at the hands of Lin Feng? Uncountable. However, there was no doubt that Lin Feng had the most kills among all the hunters who had participated in this mission. Well done. Jiang Luo nodded heavily. His attitude towards Lin Feng had changed from disdain to surprise and admiration. Now, he had a feeling of recognizing a hero. Lin Feng smiled. Of course, since he had accepted the mission, he would naturally give it his all. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any level-up points to earn. But in the ears of the crowd, it had a different meaning. It was like a hero who had returned victorious after defending his home. Facing the cheers and reverence of the crowd, he only humbly said, "This is what I should do." Huyan Ming crossed his arms and snorted coldly. Anyone who had their limelight stolen would inevitably feel uncomfortable. Moreover, the one who had contributed the most in this beast riot was definitely him, Tiger Roaring Saber Huyan Ming. He had killed more than 10 beginner-level horde leaders. The number of beasts was decreasing. The human warriors had completely gained the upper hand. The advantage could be said to be quite obvious. Once the final slaughter was completed, the mission of Beast Riot would officially end. As expected, it was just a coincidence. Jiang Luo muttered to himself. Lin Feng, you really hit it well. Li Tong sized up Lin Feng as if he didn't know him. Yes, brother Lin Feng. Huh, we were all fooled by you. Li Meng looked at Lin Feng, his voice sounding a little awkward. Although he was a head taller than Lin Feng, he seemed to be shorter by a head. I never said that I was a beginner-level martial grandmaster. Lin Feng blinked his eyes. He had always been low-key. You're really a little monster. Li Tong shook his head and sighed heavily. If I had known, I would have snatched you over regardless of the price. Qin Lai took advantage of me for nothing. Lin Feng smiled and didn't say anything. In fact, no matter how sincere Li Tong was or how generous the benefits were, he wouldn't have changed his mind. As a person, one must keep one's word. Looking at the beasts that were retreating, Lin Feng couldn't help but ask curiously, Colonel Li, how many points can I earn this time? Li Tong paused for a moment and said in a low voice, the leveling points will be given a total value according to the difficulty of the Beast Riot mission. However, the distribution according to your contribution will depend on your performance on the battlefield and your contribution. With Lin Feng's performance today, Li Tong sighed softly. The ratio should be second only to Tiger Roaring Saber Hu Yanming. Is it enough to be promoted to a 7-star hunter? Lin Feng's eyes lit up. The number of points and a ratio. It didn't matter. These were just empty titles. To him, the key was whether or not he could increase his star rank. Impossible. Li Meng shook his head. The danger level of this beast riot is above level 7. It should be worth 4 to 5 million points. If I'm not wrong, Tiger Roaring Saber Hu Yanming will get the highest 20%. Lin Feng nodded. He was immersed in the training of his movement technique. In terms of contribution, he wasn't as good as Hu Yanming. If we're talking about the number of horde-level beasts killed, Brother Lin Feng should be able to get 3 to 4%. However, you led the troops in the battle and greatly increased the morale of the troops. You contributed a lot. In addition, you killed countless commander-level demonic beasts. In my opinion, Brother Lin Feng should be able to get 7 to 8%. Lin Feng calculated in his mind and understood. That is to say, I can get 280,000 to 400,000 points. Yes, Li Meng replied. If you want to be promoted from a 6-star hunter to a 7-star hunter, you'll need 1 million points. Lin Feng clicked his tongue. He felt that it was a pity, but he didn't take it to heart. Maybe, if he had exposed his strength at the beginning, he could have suppressed Tiger Roaring Saber Hu Yanming and gotten the highest amount. But in comparison, the perfect level of his movement technique was much more helpful. At most, I'll just take 1 or 2 more Beast Riot missions. Lin Feng smiled indifferently. To other warriors, the Beast Riot might be dangerous. But to him, the danger level of the Beast Riot was infinite was equal to 0. Becoming a 7-star hunter was only a matter of time. 1,000, 500, 300, the number of beasts decreased rapidly. At this moment, the warriors were laughing and couldn't wait to celebrate. However, in an instant, the weather suddenly changed. The gray sky was shrouded in darkness. A gloomy aura filled the air, giving people a suffocating feeling. Lin Feng's ears twitched. He looked into the distance. His expression changed slightly, as if he saw something. What's going on? Li Tong frowned. He also felt that something was wrong. Another batch of demonic beasts is coming. Lin Feng's voice was very calm. It can't be, Li Meng said in surprise. As expected, it's not over yet. The Beast Riot this time should be a grade 8 danger level. Li Tong nodded with a serious expression. Grade 8? Lin Feng smiled noncommittally. After putting away the blazing iron soaring dragon spear, Lin Feng took out the scarlet gloves, bright fire ring, and blazing copper wrist guards from the fluorescent compass and slowly put them on. He seemed to be preparing for something. As expected, it's not over yet. Jiang Luo's expression was solemn. Fortunately, he held back. The first echelon, second echelon, and third echelon all had accumulated enough strength. They definitely had the strength to fight against the last attack of the Beast Riot. Tiger Roaring Saber Hu Yanming looked into the distance. His eyes were shining brightly. He was very confident that he would be able to reveal the true strength of the intermediate Emperor Wu and kill the intermediate horde leader in one fell swoop. How could he let a mere beginner Emperor Wu steal the limelight? Glancing at Lin Feng, who was not far away, Hu Yinming saw Lin Feng's strange actions and couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Just as he was thinking about where he had seen this before, suddenly, a deafening roar was heard. A terrifying aura descended in an instant. This is... Hu Yinming's expression changed. At this moment, Jiang Luo also reacted. His face became incomparably pale. In an instant, as if it was a conditioned reflex, he immediately pressed the red button on his left wrist. Something big has happened. Heavens, heavens, Li Mang said in horror. Impossible. How is this possible? Li Tong seemed to be dumbfounded. Lin Feng calmly looked into the distance, only to see a majestic group of beasts galloping over. Their violent auras were mixed with loud roars, causing the earth to tremble violently. The skies seemed to be covered by the beasts, and the frightening aura was enough to frighten a timid cultivator out of his wits. It's the golden-winged howling sky tiger. Hu Yinming's expression was incomparably ugly. Those golden wings were so bright and dazzling. The shining king word on its forehead carried a natural pressure. High-level giant beast lord, golden-winged howling sky tiger. There's also the two-headed paint python, phantom spirit leopard, and the blue-white winged bald eagle. Jiang Luo clenched his teeth and his body trembled. One high-level giant beast lord, 3 intermediate-level giant beast lords, and over 100 beginner-level giant beast lords. Although the number of beasts in this last group was far less than the previous group, the strength of the beast was more than a level higher. His bad premonition had finally come true. Fight or escape? In fact, the answer was already very obvious. Even the strongest tiger roaring blade, Hu Yinming, couldn't help but retreat. There was no fighting spirit in his eyes, not to mention those ordinary warriors who were far weaker than him. This was simply an unwinnable war. It's over. We're dead for sure. Let's all escape. Everyone was in a state of panic. Everyone became incomparably nervous, like a string that was pulled taut and was about to snap. Everyone's hearts were beating the drum of retreat. They didn't have the courage to fight at all. Even Jiang Luo, the commander, had lost his confidence and didn't know what to do. The level of danger this time was as high as level 9. Escape? Could he escape? But what else could he do if he didn't escape? Everyone, Jiang Luo's expression flickered, and he hesitated for a long time. Suddenly, a thin figure stepped out from the crowd. His expression was calm and indifferent, but his steps were steady and powerful. He didn't even say half a word. However, his calm and steady aura caused people to be convinced in their hearts. Compared to Hu Yinming's timid appearance, it was like the difference between heaven and earth. It was Lin Feng. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 111. Big Brother Lin Feng. Qin Ling shouted worriedly from the crowd. Lin Feng, Brother Lin Feng. Li Tong and Li Mang were also very nervous. Under the focused gazes of everyone, Lin Feng was like a lonely god of war that had charged into a dragon's lair by himself. Not to mention comparing his frail figure to the herd of beasts that covered the heavens and the earth. Merely his golden-winged sky-howl tiger that was enormous like a mountain was extremely inferior. He was incomparably small. What is he trying to do? Heavens, is this a joke? Jiang Luo stared at Lin Feng and swallowed back the words he was about to say. There were warriors who fought fearlessly against beasts, but he, the commander, ran away. What was this? Tiger roaring blade, Hu Yinming's face was ashen. He was in a dilemma. The intermediate Emperor Wu's strength was enough to overlook all the small mountains. Even if his opponent was the intermediate giant beast, Lord Hu Yinming, he was confident in winning. However, facing a terrifying existence that was close to 1,000 meters long, Hu Yinming was afraid. Originally, running away with the crowd was understandable and not shameful. It was just a tactical retreat. However, Lin Feng's appearance put him in an extremely awkward situation. This bastard, Hu Yinming, could not help but clench his fist. He had already cursed Lin Feng hundreds of times in his heart. You want to be a hero? Don't drag others down with you. Staring at Lin Feng, Hu Yanming looked at the pair of fiery red gloves. The more he looked, the more familiar he felt. Thump, thump. Hu Yanming's eyes widened. That's the tail skin of the fire spirit beast red refining wolf dog. No, it can't be. In a split second, Hu Yanming felt his heart tremble. A shocking thought appeared in his mind. His eyes were filled with disbelief, and he held his breath. How can he be a fire spirit master? His heart rejected this thought. However, the truth was still the truth. Thump! Thump! Two orange flames appeared on Lin Feng's hands in an instant. They were both enchanting and ferocious, causing all the cultivators to widen their eyes. It was an extremely comical sight. This was especially so for Li Tong and Li Meng. Their eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. They were so regretful that their intestines turned green. Heaven's big brother Lin Feng. Qin Ling covered her mouth in shock, her eyes shining brightly. No wonder, no wonder. The smile on Zhang Luo's face seemed to be twitching, but the difference was too great for him to recover. And at this moment, Lin Feng moved. Like a bolt of lightning, the orange origin fire in his hands instantly condensed into two huge fireballs. Whoosh! Whoosh! The fireballs emitted intense sounds of breaking through the air, like two bright orange meteors streaking across the sky, falling into the endless horde of beasts. Instantly, boom! A violent explosion sounded, accompanied by the mournful roars of the beasts. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. The air was filled with an incomparable stench and blood-red mist. Lin Feng's first attack took away the lives of two horde-level beasts. A large number of horde-level beasts in the surroundings were also implicated. There were countless casualties. Heaven! Fire! Fire Spirit Master. So scary. This was the first time that most of the cultivators had seen the true face of a Fire Spirit Master with their own eyes. Shock, admiration, reverence, all kinds of expressions appeared on different faces. However, in an instant, their eyes were covered by clusters of orange flames. Boom, pong, pong, pong. Lin Feng's hands continuously shot out orange fireballs. It was as if his body had an endless amount of energy. The more I kill, the more points I get to level up. Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly. As far as the eye could see, the huge horde of magical beasts was being slaughtered. One after another, the huge fiery cloud in the sky completely enveloped the horde of magical beasts. Even the dense fiery mist caused the magical beasts to be in a mess. Many magical beasts were even trampled to death by their companions. Monster! He really is a monster. Zhang Luo murmured in disbelief. Compared to other cultivators, Zhang Luo was undoubtedly much more experienced and had seen many fire spirit masters. However, he had never seen someone with such terrifying strength like Lin Feng. He's simply a killing god. Zhang Luo was speechless. The cultivators were intoxicated as they watched. This kind of massacre made their hearts hang in suspense. They had long forgotten that they were currently in a dangerous situation. At this moment, Lin Feng suddenly stopped attacking. The fire in his hands extinguished. What's wrong? The cultivators were incomparably shocked. Just as the killing was refreshing and exciting, inexplicably, it was gone. A faint light flickered in front of his chest. Lin Feng's eyes sparkled. At this moment, the high-level giant beast lord, golden-winged sky, howling tiger, appeared. Its golden wings were mixed with a golden mane that resembled a crown. The word king on its head was awe-inspiring. Hua! The cloud shuttle appeared in a flash. Lin Feng jumped on it. Instantly, like a flash of light, he disappeared in a blink of an eye. Heavens, what was that? Where is he? What has happened? Hu Yanming was completely shocked. Lin Feng's fire spirit master strength already made him feel suffocated. Just now, that was a flying treasure? Hu Yanming was stunned. Whoosh! The sound of something breaking through the air rang. Instantly, Lin Feng saw a terrifying figure that was a few hundred meters tall and 1,000 meters long. It walked in the middle of the horde of beasts. The word king on its head matched its identity, king of beasts. With a cold gaze, Lin Feng's hands suddenly formed a fireball. Instantly, it exploded. Go to hell. Lin Feng's eyes burned. High-level giant beast lord? So what? The one I'm going to kill is you. The orange primordial fire condensed all the power. Although the fireball was small, its power was not small at all. With the strength of a beginner Emperor Wu and the power of Lin Feng's primordial fire, they were at the peak of Emperor Wu's level. Most importantly, this high-level giant beast lord, golden-winged sky howling tiger, did not have any space to dodge. Surrounding it, there were many large and small magical beasts. Its terrifying eyes flickered with a cold light. It was furious at Lin Feng's attack. Roaring violently, the golden-winged sky howling tiger flapped its golden wings, wanting to fly. But the difference in speed was too great. Pong, pong. The fireball exploded violently. Blood splattered everywhere. The wound was extremely horrifying. Roar! The golden-winged sky howling tiger howled in pain. The heart-wrenching pain caused it to go crazy. The giant golden wings flapped wildly, and the violent wind pressure was like a disaster descending. In an instant, a terrifying power spread in all directions, causing many commander-level magical beasts in the vicinity to suffer. Even many low-level commander-level magical beasts died unjustly. Although the golden-winged sky howling tiger's huge body gave it a shocking defense, at the same time, it also increased the area it was attacked. Dodge? Can you dodge? Pung! Pung! Fireball after fireball exploded on the golden-winged sky howling tiger's body, like a sharp sword constantly piercing through. The injuries on its body became more and more serious. The golden-winged sky howling tiger roared powerlessly, but its eyes gradually lost their luster, until finally, boom, a huge sound. The several hundred-meter-tall, terrifying figure fell to the ground. There were countless wounds on its body, and blood kept flowing out. The golden-winged sky howling tiger's body twitched. It was actually bombed to death by Lin Feng. It died in an extremely depressed and aggrieved manner. Dead. Jiang Luo froze. Lin Feng's strength was far beyond his imagination. In less than 10 seconds, he killed this advanced-level giant beast lord. This kind of strength was terrifying. And in a short time, he was stunned. The dual-headed python of the 3 intermediate-level giant beast lords followed in the footsteps of the golden-winged sky howling tiger. Its defense was even weaker, and it couldn't even withstand Lin Feng's second attack. Instant kill. There's still 2 left. Lin Feng's eyes were cold as the orange fireballs in his hands were incomparably fierce. His target, the Phantom Spirit Leopard. The Phantom Spirit Leopard's speed was extremely fast. It could even compare to the golden-winged sky howling tiger's speed. The name Phantom wasn't just for show. When it came to dodging in a small area, the Phantom Spirit Leopard was comparable to a normal advanced-level giant beast lord. However, its opponent this time was Lin Feng. Die! The blazing fireball completely swallowed the Phantom Spirit Leopard and released a dazzling light. Its speed was comparable, but what about its defense? Rumble! In the sky, a mushroom-shaped cloud of fire appeared. All the fighters were dumbfounded. The remaining blue and white-winged bald eagle let out a shrill cry. It flapped its huge wings and glided in a circle, creating a terrifying wind pressure. The blue and white-winged bald eagle's eyes were filled with fear as it tried to escape. You want to leave? Lin Feng's eyes were sharp. Whoosh! The cloud shuttle suddenly accelerated like a meteor. Lin Feng chased after the blue and white-winged bald eagle. Everyone was stunned. In the blink of an eye, the golden-winged sky howling tiger dead. The dual-headed python and the Phantom Spirit Leopard dead. 3 intermediate-level giant beast lords and 1 advanced-level giant beast lord. 3 dead and 1 fleeing. Lin Feng's battle record was so dazzling. Strong, too strong. Hu Yanming felt his hair stand on end. He was completely convinced by Lin Feng's strength. I thought he was just an ordinary beginner-level Emperor Wu. Who would have thought? Hu Yanming smiled in surprise. At that moment, he felt that he was really stupid, instantly killing intermediate-level giant beast lords and advanced-level giant beast lords. What kind of strength was this? He could turn him into ashes with just a move of his hand. First echelon, attack immediately. Second and third echelon, support the second line of attack. At this moment, Zhang Luo had already reacted and hastily shouted. His voice was filled with excitement and excitement. The 8th grade mission's danger level was resolved in the blink of an eye. All that was left was to assist the powerful Fire Spirit Master in dealing with the remaining Beast Generals and beginner-level Giant Beast Lords. Although there were many of them, the fighters on their side were not to be trifled with. Coupled with the intermediate-level Emperor Wu, Hu Yanming, their chances of victory were extremely high. Moreover, Zhang Luo looked at the communication device in his left hand. His eyes were shining. The general should be here soon. Kill! Kill! Following Zhang Luo's words, the fighters' morale was ignited. They watched as Lin Feng slaughtered his way through the beast hordes with awe-inspiring might. Many fighters had been holding their breaths for a long time. Their expressions were filled with excitement. The anger that had been suppressed in their hearts for a long time suddenly exploded. In a split second, the fighters rushed forward. Among them, Tiger Roarblade Hu Yanming took the lead. His eyes were filled with a burning desire to fight. He wanted to use his true strength to pay his respects to the Fire Spirit Master and atone for his disrespect earlier. In the crowd, a beautiful girl wearing purple skin-tight clothes was mixed in with the crowd. No one noticed her. If one looked carefully, there was not a single trace of blood on her body. She was clean, as if she had never fought before. However, her sword, it was a cold and sharp sword. Where's Sister Wan? Qinling looked around. On the 4th day of a new year, Xiao Xiao wishes everyone. There will be many good things in the new year. Many smiles. Happy every second. Happy every day. Blissful every year. Healthy forever. By the way, please recommend, please subscribe, carrot carrot. If you like this work, you're welcome to come Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 112. Rumor has it that the giant beast horde leader has the intelligence of an ordinary child. So it is true. Stepping on the cloud shuttle, Lin Feng calmly looked at the 300-meter-long blue and white-winged bald eagle in front of him. It was desperately trying to escape. The eagle's beak constantly emitted sharp screeches, which made him feel dizzy. However, to him, it was ineffective. With his powerful soul power, the screeches did not affect Lin Feng at all. Escape? Can you escape? A faint orange light appeared on Lin Feng's right hand. In an instant, it condensed into a fireball. The blue and white-winged bald eagle flapped its huge blue and white wings as hard as it could. The wind was as strong as a hurricane, but no one knew if it was trying to fly faster or if it was trying to suppress Lin Feng behind it. But everything was just a last-ditch struggle. Behind him, Lin Feng stepped on the cloud shuttle and appeared as if he teleported. Lightning descended. The orange flames covered all the other colors in the sky. Die, Lin Feng said calmly. Boom! Stepping on a cloud shuttle, Lin Feng's face was filled with a satisfied smile. Half a month ago, the power of my primordial fire could only kill a medium-level giant beast horde leader. But now my strength has broken through to beginner Emperor Wu. I can kill a high-level giant beast horde leader. Letting out a light breath, Lin Feng could not help but look at the battlefield. Although the human warriors were outnumbered, they were all elites and their morale was high. Under the leadership of Tiger Roarblade, Hu Yanming, they were like a sharp knife piercing into the heart of the beast horde. Chi, Peng, fierce battles could be seen everywhere. The war was in full swing. Looking at the battle between the beast horde and the human warriors, Lin Feng's eyes became hazy. In an instant, he seemed to see 1 year later, 2 years later. In order to protect their homeland, the human warriors would engage in a real life and death battle with the magical beasts. In less than 9 months, The beast horde will enter the middle stage. There will be a small number of king-level magical beasts participating in the battle. The earliest is 1 year and 9 months. The latest is 2 years and 9 months. The beast horde will enter the later stage. Many powerful magical beasts from the depths of the wilderness will appear. There will be a large number of king-level magical beasts and rare dragon-type magical beasts. The magical beast's attack power will be comparable to that of a 7th-rank beast horde. When the time comes, disaster will befall the Sky Martial continent. Lin Feng sighed softly. The wheel of history was moving, and it was not something a weak warrior like him could change. The only thing he could do was adapt. In this hopeless situation, find a chance to survive. Damn magical beasts. Lin Feng's eyes were filled. Lin Feng. 2 fireballs appeared in his hands, and he threw them at the 2 lord-class giant beasts as if he was venting his anger. Pong! 2 blazing flames enveloped the area. That fiery and blazing aura enveloped the entire battlefield, causing the beasts to lose their heads out of fear. Those primary giant beast overlords were all terrified. At this time, the human warriors seemed to have found their backbone, their morale greatly boosted. With a powerful fire spirit master holding the fort, what was there to be afraid of? The scales of victory slowly tilted towards the human warriors. Suddenly, Lin Feng caught a glimpse of a familiar figure. Ruanzi was holding a long sword, looking valiant and formidable. Her tall figure and beautiful face were extremely eye-catching in this battlefield. "It's her?" Lin Feng said softly. He saw that Ruanzi was trapped in the midst of the beast horde and was in imminent danger. Her body was bleeding from many wounds, but she was still fighting tenaciously. Her bright eyes were filled with an unyielding fighting spirit. Looking at her indifferently, Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly. At this moment, another king-level beast joined the battle. Ruanzi was surrounded and on the verge of collapse. So, Lin Feng turned into a ray of light and quickly dove down. In front of him, the purple figure became clearer and clearer. In a split second, Lin Feng's hands clenched into fists. An orange light covered his hands. With a chi sound, the scarlet smelting gloves seemed to be on fire. In front of him, a high-level beast general, Rhinoceros Thunder Beast, bared its fangs and pounced towards him. The lightning horn on its forehead was shining brightly. However, Lin Feng didn't even try to dodge Hong. He punched out. Moving later, but arriving first, the berserk fire instantly drowned the Rhinoceros Thunder Beast. Directly swallowed. The power of the fire on the fist seems to be slightly inferior to the fireball. Lin Feng muttered to himself. The fireball is the concentration of the fire's power, and the fire on the fist is an additional layer of energy transmission. Thinking in his heart, Lin Feng's actions weren't slow at all. Multitasking, his body turned and moved, killing another 2 high-level beast generals. His actions were fast and ruthless. Fire martial artist, Lin Feng smiled indifferently. He suddenly thought of the first time he unleashed the power of a fire martial artist. At that time, the power of a small cluster of fire was already my limit. Now, the power of the fire I control is 10 times more, and it doesn't take any effort at all. This was the increase of soul power. Controlling the fire, in the end, depended on the strength of the soul power. The soul was the general, the fire was the soldier. Thinking of this, suddenly, Lin Feng's eyes widened. Right? How could I be so foolish? At that time, my soul power was weak. Now, times were different. Qi, the yuan fire on Lin Feng's fist deepened in a split second, and even the height of the flames increased abruptly. It was as if Lin Feng was undergoing extreme control of the yuan fire training. Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly. He had subconsciously walked into the wrong place. At that time, his sensitivity to the fire was extremely high. The power of the fire had already reached the limit of soul power control. But now, the increase in soul power had already exceeded the limit of the fire's sensitivity. As expected, just like what was written in Fire Spirit Master Basics, The three factions of Fire Spirit Masters have no difference in strength. There is also no dividing line. The key is, what are my specialties and how much power can I unleash? Thinking in his heart, Lin Feng's actions were not careless. Everywhere he passed, orange light flashed, and all the beasts turned into nothingness. Not even their bones were left. Instantly, like a sharp spear piercing through the enemy's formation, the number of beasts around Ruanzi decreased. The pressure was greatly reduced. Very quickly, Lin Feng locked onto his target. One of the beginner-level giant beast leader, Silver Ridge Lion. That huge figure that was close to 100 meters long was incomparably eye-catching. Its roar was deafening. Its sharp claws swung over. Just the wind alone was terrifying to the extreme. However, this time it was facing Lin Feng. Even the high-level giant beast leader, Golden Wing Howling Sky Tiger, could be easily killed, let alone a beginner-level giant beast leader. Die. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. Orange flames flashed in all directions in the blink of an eye. The Silver Ridge Lion did not even have the chance to cry out before it was completely swallowed. Fire Spirit Masters focus on the power of their fire. My aptitude is not that good, but Lin Feng's lips curled as he nodded. My soul power is extremely high. Even if my soul power is high, I can still unleash the power of a Fire Spirit Master. There was more than one path. The crux of the matter was how strong he was and how he could unleash his full potential. At this moment, Ruanzi, who was already injured, had another injury. An extremely long wound appeared on her smooth back. Ruanzi groaned in pain and spat out a mouthful of blood. Her body fell heavily to the ground. Instantly, the beginner-level giant beast leader, Three-Eyed Fecticat, let out a sharp cry, its eyes shining with a cold light. An extremely good opportunity. A cold light flashed, aiming for Ruanzi's life. Scram! Lin Feng descended like a bolt of lightning. The orange fire in his hand suddenly exploded. The three-eyed Fecticat looked as if it had been struck by lightning. It let out a pitiful cry. Instantly, its sharp claws were swallowed by the fire. At this moment, Lin Feng's right foot was already on the ground. His body completely separated the three-eyed Fecticat from Ruanzi. His left foot stepped forward and his left fist punched out. The orange fire exploded. Faced with the terrifying power of the fire, the three-eyed Fecticat was completely unable to resist. Its face was filled with fear as it let out a hoarse cry. However, behind Lin Feng, Ruanzi had already stood up. Her eyes were shining with a cold light. The sharp sword in her hand, swept away her dejection. Like a vicious viper, it bit towards Lin Feng. Fast, accurate, ruthless. Just from the speed of her sword, one could tell that Ruanzi's strength was definitely above that of the intermediate-level Emperor Wu. She was not the slightest bit inferior to the tiger-roaring blade Huyin Ming, pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger, all for this moment. Her true name was Zilwan. At such a short distance, there was no way to dodge. In order to create this situation, Zilwan did not hesitate to use the trick of injuring herself to gain the enemy's confidence. A vicious assassin would definitely do anything to achieve her goal. However, childish tricks. An indifferent voice sounded. Zilwan's expression instantly changed. Lin Feng, whose back was originally exposed, seemed to have predicted this. His body spun in an almost impossible manner. His left fist, which was aimed at the three-eyed Fecticat, blossomed with the radiance of the fire and instantly merged with Zilwan's sword. Light erupted. Boom! Orange light shot out in all directions. Pooh! Zilwan violently vomited blood and was sent flying. Zilwan's internal organs seemed to have been burned by fire. Her eyes flashed with incomparable shock. Her body no longer had any strength as she fell heavily to the ground. This time, she was seriously injured. Lin Feng took a step forward and appeared in front of Zilwan as if he had teleported. His bright eyes stared straight at Zilwan. His voice was calm. The fox's tail has finally been revealed. Once bitten, twice shy, Lin Feng still remembered how he had been plotted against by Lin Xianglong previously. He had almost died. How had he fallen into the same trap again? You. Ziyuan bit her lips tightly. Her face was incomparably pale. Your acting skills are not bad. However, the same trick is useless against me. Lin Feng coldly smiled. The fire in his hand instantly turned into a blazing fireball. He was merely beating Ziyuan at her own game. Ziyuan's face was filled with unwillingness. Although she did not understand Lin Feng's words, she knew that she had failed. And there was only one result of failure. Die. Lin Feng's eyes were filled with killing intent. He would never show mercy to his enemies. At this moment, the three-eyed fecta cat behind him hissed and rushed over. Its sharp claws attacked his back. Lin Feng completely ignored it. However, suddenly, a terrifying green light burst forth. Please subscribe, please recommend. Thank you to all the friends who have supported Xiao Xiao. Happy New Year, everyone. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 113. Behind the three-eyed fecta cat, a cold, green light appeared strangely. In that instant, Lin Feng felt his heart tighten. All the hair on his body stood on end, and a chill ran down his spine. Boom! His head felt like it was about to explode. That was an extremely terrifying force, so powerful that it seemed like it was going to swallow him up completely. Suddenly, a huge green tree appeared in his mind. The green branches and leaves of the tree were luxuriant, and they were like giant hands dancing in the wind. Rays of green light flickered, frightening and ferocious, extremely dangerous. At this moment of life and death, Lin Feng's nerves were completely taut. His blood seemed to freeze, and even his breathing stopped. Suddenly, spirit comes from the heart. If the heart does not act, then the primordial spirit will appear. Inner thoughts do not act. Outer thoughts do not enter. Only I am independent. This is called the primordial spirit. In his mind, the mystery of soul bloomed with endless light. Every word pulsated, carrying with it an indescribable magic as it appeared before his eyes. In that instant, everything around him appeared. Cold green light. It was a slender green wood. Its tip was sharp, and it gleamed with cold light. Vaguely, under the green light, it contained a deep orange color. This power, it's the primordial tree. Lin Feng was greatly shocked. The primordial tree, which contained a terrifying power, was a level stronger than his primordial fire. Pa! His eyes widened, and Lin Feng released all of his soul force. At this moment, Xiao, the green would directly pierce through the three-eyed fecta cat as though it was a thin veil. Its power did not decrease at all. His soul force instantly came into contact with the green wood, like two sharp blades clashing against each other. Pung! Lin Feng felt as though his heart had been struck by lightning. His head rumbled, and he fainted. The terrifying power of the green wood could not be blocked by soul force. Even though he used all of his strength, he could only cause the green wood to pause for a moment. The difference in power was too great. In the distance, a black-clothed man on a platinum disc flying device sneered. It was Greenwood Dove. It's time to end this. Greenwood Dove's eyes lit up. The greenwood was pierced through like an arrow. And at this time, in front of Lin Feng's chest, the cloud shuttle suddenly blossomed with light. Boom! There was a violent explosion. In an instant, Lin Feng felt an incomparably intense pain. His internal organs seemed to be churning like a flood dragon. The huge impact caused all the bones in his body to fall apart. His throat tasted sweet, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Cloud shuttle. Lin Feng clenched his teeth. He forcefully steadied himself and rushed towards the cloud shuttle. Once again, the cloud shuttle had blocked a fatal attack for him. How is this possible? Greenwood Dove was extremely shocked, but in an instant he understood. A defensive treasure. Greenwood Dove's eyes lit up. That was a defensive treasure that could withstand a full-powered attack from him. It was extremely valuable. Although his heart was itching, Greenwood Dove did not let it get to his head. He clearly understood what he should do now. After I kill you, that defensive treasure will be mine. Greenwood Dove smiled coldly. He clasped his hands together. Suddenly, a greenwood seemed to grow slowly. It emitted a dark orange luster. His hands spread out continuously. In the blink of an eye, another greenwood tree was formed. Die. Greenwood Dove's gaze was fierce. Without a defensive treasure in his eyes, Lin Feng was a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Almost. Lin Feng felt that the distance between him and the cloud shuttle was infinitely close. But suddenly, a wisp of green cold light appeared in his mind and shot straight at him at an astonishing speed. Before he could get the cloud shuttle, the cold green light would be enough to turn him into ashes. Dodge? This was his first instinct. If I dodge, I won't have any chance of getting the cloud shuttle. Lin Feng was very clear. This Wood Spirit Master is extremely strong. He is at least one level higher than me. Lin Feng clenched his teeth. If I don't get the cloud shuttle, I won't have any chance of survival. Even grind him to death. Let's do it. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. His footsteps didn't stop as two strands of primordial flames appeared in his hands like bolts of lightning, and they transformed into fireballs that shot directly towards Qing Mu. The sensitivity of the 6th grade fire finally showed its effect. Bang! Bang! The balls of fire collided with the green wood and were instantly swallowed by the cold green light. But, as expected, it has weakened a little, Lin Feng said. At this moment, there was no time to gather any more fire. The green wood arrived in an instant and blasted towards Lin Feng's thin body, which was only protected by the 4-star titanium energy suit. It was a dead end. Seeing that Lin Feng had no chance of resisting, all of a sudden, a fiery red light appeared. Lin Feng's expression turned ferocious, and a fiery red scale armor suddenly appeared around his body. Oh my God! Greenwood Dove stared blankly and stood in place. Illusion armor. Bang! A violent vibration sounded. Lin Feng felt a terrifying pressure on his chest, as if his body was going to be crushed into pieces. The power penetrated his body, but I blocked it. Lin Feng tried his best to hold back the intense pain that seemed to be piercing into his heart. Although all the bones in his body seemed to have been shattered by the enormous power, the illusion armor didn't shatter. Ha! He grabbed the tip of the cloud shuttle with one hand. Lin Feng jumped up. His hands instantly formed a blazing flame. Everything around him appeared in his mind. Lin Feng quickly flew forward. In an instant, he locked onto his target. A black-clothed man stepped on a round platform. He was extremely conspicuous. I'll go all out. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He had no other choice. Escape? What a joke. His opponent's primordial tree was stronger than his. It was obvious that his opponent was stronger than him. How could he escape when his speed was inferior? First, he used Ruan Zi to distract me. Then, he used green wood to ambush me. During the battle, Lin Feng's thoughts were extremely clear. He muttered to himself, stepping on a flying disc. It's obvious that he's a firefighter who specializes in guerrilla warfare. The only way to win is to get close to him. Lin Feng knew very well that compared to mid-range attacks, the black-clothed man's close-range attacks were definitely weaker. He would definitely use his best move to ambush him. What's going on? Jiang Luo looked at the sky, stunned. He wasn't the only one. At this moment, all the other martial artists were looking at the sky with their mouths agape. They were extremely shocked and didn't know what had happened. Why did the situation suddenly change? At this moment, from afar, the sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. Jiang Luo looked at his left wrist and saw that the red button on his communication device had already lit up. Jiang Luo turned his head and saw a group of 100 soldiers rushing over. The leader was a mighty man wearing a military uniform and a cloak. The 3 golden stars on his shoulder emitted a dazzling light, symbolizing his supreme status. General, Jiang Luo immediately bowed. What happened? General Gu Wan asked in a deep voice. There were 16 counties in Tianwu Continent. Every county had a team of Tianwu Continent's elite troops overseeing them to deal with unexpected situations. As for Blazing Sun County, the one overseeing it was General Guwan. It's like this, General. Jiang Luo wanted to explain, but he saw Guwan raise his head. He was already extremely shocked. At this moment, Lin Feng and Greenwood Dove had already started fighting. Greenwood Dove was obviously stronger than Lin Feng, even though the Cloud Shuttle was easier to control than the Platinum Disc flying device. But there was a huge difference in strength between the two. Lin Feng was only an elementary Emperor Wu, while Greenwood Dove was an advanced Emperor Wu. The difference in speed caused Lin Feng to be in a passive situation. Even though he kept dodging, he would still lose if he kept on defending. Boom! Primordial Tree versus Primordial Fire. The difference in strength was obvious. Even though Lin Feng's Primordial Fire had already reached its limit, Greenwood Dove's Cyan Primordial Tree, with a tinge of yellow, was much stronger. In an instant, the Primordial Fire was devoured. If it wasn't for the protection of the illusion armor, Lin Feng would have already been beheaded. Fire Spirit Master? And with Spirit Master? You must be joking. General Guwan was already stunned. The battle between the two was incomparably intense. Primordial Fire and Primordial Tree both exploded violently. Even though there were only two of them, the battle in the air had already covered the chaos of the beast horde below. They were not even on the same level. Powerful. Too powerful. General Guwan kept shaking his head. Even though he was also an advanced Emperor Wu, if he were to fight with either of these two Celestial Spirit Masters, it would be hard for him to be a match for them, especially that with Spirit Master. His strength was too terrifying. Bang! Lin Feng's body trembled violently. Once again, he was hit by Greenwood Dove's barbaric attacks. His entire body felt as though it was falling apart. Lin Feng's face was slightly pale. Even though the power of Greenwood Dove's Primordial Tree was weakened by the Primordial Fire and the Illusion Armor, and was unable to cause fatal damage to his body, the impact was real. This can't go on. Lin Feng frowned. He would be beaten to death. Give it a try? Lin Feng wasn't confident. Injury for injury. My fist can indeed break through his defense, but Lin Feng thought to himself, without the Primordial Fire's first attack, the power of the Primordial Tree will directly fall on the Illusion Armor. With the defensive power of the Illusion Armor, it will definitely crumble. Lin Feng knew very well that the Illusion Armor's defensive power had already reached its limit. Although an ordinary advanced Emperor Wu's attack would not be able to break through his defense, the Black-Clothed Man was a Spirit Master at the same level as the advanced Emperor Wu. It could be said that his offensive power was at the peak below the titled Martial God level. Perish together? Lin Feng was naturally unwilling. What should I do? What should I do? As he thought to himself, Lin Feng was forced to punch Greenwood Dove again. His injuries worsened again. Do you think I'm weak in close combat? Greenwood Dove smiled coldly. To deal with you, it's more than enough. Greenwood Dove had a lot of battle experience. He naturally knew how to make use of his advantages and perform perfectly in battle. Illusion Armor, a flying-type treasure with defensive capabilities. Greenwood Dove's eyes lit up. Wait a little longer, and all of these will be mine. With a twist of its body, the Greenwood Dove once again attacked Lin Feng. Damn it! If only the power of my spear could break through his defense. Lin Feng clenched his teeth. Seeing Greenwood Dove getting closer and closer, Lin Feng was burning with anxiety. The situation was becoming more and more unfavorable for him. If he didn't change, the consequences would be unimaginable. Is there really no other way? Lin Feng's eyes kept changing, looking at the ferocious primordial flames on his fists. All of a sudden, Lin Feng's pupils dilated as if he had thought of something. His heart was filled with astonishment. Right? How could I forget? I still have. The sound of firecrackers resounds. The God of Fortune has arrived. Congratulations to everyone for your great luck in the new year and for making a fortune. At the same time, please subscribe and recommend Carrot to be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come Achidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 114. Condensing fire. Simply condensing the primordial fire on the fist is the second stage of controlling primordial fire, and my control of primordial fire has already reached the fourth stage, adhering fire. Suddenly, Lin Feng's eyes flickered. There's a way. Clang. The blazing iron soaring dragon spear was unsheathed at lightning speed. Instantly, the primordial fire ignited. The originally fiery red blazing iron soaring dragon spear was like a blazing spear. Adhering fire allowed primordial fire to be attached to weapons, such as spears, arrows, flying knives, etc. In the Lin family village, Lin Feng could even attach primordial fire to small stones, let alone the blazing iron soaring dragon spear. No, Greenwood Dove's expression was incomparably horrified. Impossible. Greenwood Dove's sprinting figure paused inexplicably. His eyes widened in disbelief. Adhering fire? How could he reach the adhering fire realm? Others might not understand what adhering fire was, but Greenwood Dove was very clear about it. Control of primordial wood and control of primordial fire were different methods of achieving the same result. After several rounds of cultivation, coupled with a wood spirit master weapon, he was barely able to use his hands to condense greenwood. But Lin Feng, simply unimaginable. A moment of pause, a moment of apprehension, in exchange for a moment of weakness. How could there be so many distracting thoughts in a battle? Chance. For the first time, Lin Feng advanced instead of retreating. Stepping on the cloud shuttle, he was like a heavenly soldier descending. His eyes flickered with a pitch-black cold light like a lonely black hole. Taking advantage of Greenwood Dove's momentary absent-mindedness, Lin Feng gathered all of his soul power in an instant and shot it out like a sharp arrow. Boom! His mind was greatly shaken, and he felt a heart-wrenching pain. Lin Feng was astonished. The soul power attack this time was much stronger than any of the soul power attacks in the past. However, he had no way out. Biting the tip of his tongue, a fire spirit pill appeared in his hand, emitting a faint luster. He took a bite. Bang! Greenwood Dove's expression changed drastically. In an instant, he felt as if he had fallen into a bottomless abyss. It was pitch black, and a terrifying pressure came from all directions, wrapping him up tightly. Greenwood Dove's entire body twitched violently. His eyes were wide open as the crazy primordial tree suddenly erupted. Boom! The illusory realm in front of him shattered. And at this moment, in front of him, a heaven-swallowing flame mixed with the shadow of a spear descended in an instant. No! Greenwood Dove's eyes were bloodshot. He was hysterical as he threw out a punch. But an inch longer, an inch shorter. Greenwood Dove's dying fist only managed to hit the blazing iron soaring dragon spear. Chi! The blazing iron soaring dragon spear pierced through Greenwood Dove's defenses and into his heart. At the same time, the terrifying green light completely enveloped the blazing iron soaring dragon spear and swallowed it in an instant. The remaining violent power was all used on Lin Feng. Bang! The fiery red scale armor shook violently. Greenwood Dove's final attack before his death was terrifying. The strength of a wood spirit master was completely unleashed. Lin Feng only felt a tsunami of power pass through the fiery red scale armor and cover his entire body in the blink of an eye. Bang! It was as if he had been hit by a terrifying force. The fiery red scale armor actually cracked a little. In that instant, Lin Feng only felt that he was about to suffocate. The crazy primordial tree had penetrated his body, but you want to drag me down with you? Lin Feng's eyes were bloodshot as he clenched his teeth. Dream on. The blazing primordial fire spread all over his body, resisting the invading primordial tree and slowly neutralizing it. Lin Feng's willpower was incomparably strong. Although he didn't have any strength left in his body, Lin Feng's final defense forcefully pulled him back from the brink of death. Boom! He fell heavily from midair onto the ground. Lin Feng's injuries were extremely serious. but at least he still had a breath of life left. Everyone was stupefied, and there was complete silence. A wood spirit master against a fire spirit master. The shocking battle ended just like that. Quickly save him. General Gu Wan yelled hastily. The soldiers behind him obeyed, and Jiang Luo took the lead. This powerful fire spirit master in front of them was a battlefield hero who turned the tide. Falling in the middle of the beast horde, Lin Feng lay on the ground, unable to move. His entire body was powerless. In front of him, an enormous figure the size of a small mountain descended. Early stage horde leader, golden-horned lightning beast. Baring its teeth, the golden-horned lightning beast raised its leg, wanting to stomp Lin Feng to death. But no matter how serious his injuries were, Lin Feng was still a fire spirit master through and through. A skinny camel was still bigger than a horse. His right hand barely managed to gather a wisp of primordial fire. The light was dim, but it was more than enough to deal with a golden-horned lightning beast. Boom! The enormous golden-horned lightning beast was directly swallowed. Ha! His right hand fell powerlessly. Lin Feng laughed bitterly. This time, he really didn't have any strength left. Not to mention gathering a fireball. He couldn't even raise his hand. His bones were already shattered and his injuries were extremely serious. At this moment, a figure holding a saber suddenly appeared. Tiger roaring saber. Hu Yin Ming. Wah! A sharp saber energy slashed horizontally, instantly cutting apart all the magical beasts around Lin Feng. His fiery eyes looked at Lin Feng and nodded heavily. His eyes were filled with respect and admiration, as if saying, "With me here, don't worry." Lin Feng smiled tiredly. Although he didn't have any relationship with Tiger Roaring Saber Hu Yin Ming, his eyes told him he was worthy of trust. With the addition of a large number of reinforcements, the Beast Horde riot was quickly quelled. The 100-man army, led by General Gu Wan, was the true elite of the Tianwu army. The weakest among them was a major general. Among them, there were as many as 10 lieutenant generals with the strength of Emperor Wu. In this battle, thousands of human warriors were killed or injured. However, this was a very normal value for a level 9 danger level. It could even be said that this was a complete victory. How could there be no deaths in war? If not for Lin Feng's existence, who turned the tide and single-handedly killed a high-level horde leader and 3 middle-level horde leaders, the number of casualties would have been many times greater. In this battle, everyone remembered a resounding name, Lin Feng. It was as if he was in a warm embrace. Every inch of his skin felt warm and nourished. Wah! Lin Feng opened his eyes. In front of him was a sealed pool. He gently took off his breathing mask and opened the valve. Lin Feng stepped out of the sealed pool. My body seems to have recovered by more than half. Lin Feng looked at his hands in surprise. Thump, thump, thump. 2 clusters of elemental fire burned, emitting an orange glow. Lin Feng's lips curled into a faint smile. Although his body was still a little tired, he had already recovered his battle strength. The effects of this healing pod are not bad. Lin Feng glanced at the sealed pool. His eyes lit up. In an instant, elemental fire covered his body, evaporating the remaining healing liquid on his body. Following which, Lin Feng calmly stepped out of the door. Sit, Brother Lin Feng, Gu Wan greeted warmly. Thank you for your help, General. Lin Feng nodded and smiled. This time, it was all thanks to General Gu Wan and Tiger Roaring Blade Hu Yin Ming that he was saved. Otherwise, he would have died under the claws of the demonic beasts. This is what I should do. Gu Wan nodded with a smile. If I don't even save the battlefield hero, how can I face this place? Saying this, Gu Wan couldn't help but point at the 3 golden stars on his shoulder. The Tianwu army's mission was to protect the law and the Tianwu continent. Lin Feng was indeed the battlefield hero that calmed the demonic beasts. He deserved the title. No matter what, I still have to thank you. Lin Feng smiled. Brother Lin Feng is too courteous. Gu Wan immediately had a good impression of the youth in front of him. A fire spirit master with the strength of a high-level emperor, Wu, could still maintain a pure heart. It was indeed rare. Suddenly, Guan took out the flying disc from his bosom and placed it on the table. Brother Lin Feng, do you know where this came from? Lin Feng shook his head and took out the flying disc from his bosom. The two flying discs were exactly the same regardless of shape, design, or appearance. It was as if they were perfect copies. Platinum disc, flying disc. Guan looked at Lin Feng with a serious expression. The manufacturing process is unique to the Hunters Alliance. Hunters Alliance? Lin Feng's eyes lit up as he vaguely understood. This is a very large underground force. Guan nodded and said seriously, they have gathered a group of true experts. All of their official members have the strength of an Emperor Wu. Low-level Emperor Wu is only a small fry. Low-level Emperor Wu is a small fry? Lin Feng shook his head. This Hunter's Alliance was really powerful. The Wood Spirit Master that you were fighting with just now is a captain. Guan's expression was serious. Only Heaven Spirit Masters with the strength of a high-level Emperor Wu have the qualifications to become captain. Normal high-level Emperor Wu experts don't have the qualifications. Captain level? Lin Feng was stunned. Obviously, from Guan's tone above the captain level, there were even more terrifying existences. The identities of the warriors of the Hunters Alliance are completely confidential. Guan shook his head lightly. The four big forces have all been infiltrated. For example, the Wood Spirit Master, nicknamed Greenwood Dove, is a deacon of the Wood Forest sect, one of the 5 big forces. Greenwood Dove. Lin Feng remembered this name. The Hunters Alliance, as the name suggests, is about hunting. As long as they have the ability to hunt, as long as there is a mission, they will complete it. Guan clenched his teeth and said, especially 5 elemental Heaven Spirit Masters. They are their primary targets. In order to obtain the Origin Seed, Lin Feng's eyes shone. Just like what his father said, one Origin Seed could create a Heaven Spirit Master. Although it was extremely dangerous, in order to become stronger, everyone was willing to take the risk. Hunters rarely fail, but Guan looked at Lin Feng and smiled. It seems that they have failed again and again on you, Brother Lin Feng. This time, the exposure of Greenwood Dove's identity will definitely cause a huge uproar. I'm afraid that the Hunters Alliance will disappear for a period of time. Lin Feng smiled, but he was not worried. Soon, he would be able to officially enter the hunt and become one of its members. With the support of the Hunters Alliance, what was there to be afraid of? All right, how many points did I get this time? Lin Feng's eyes suddenly lit up. Now, to him, this was the most important thing. Begging for recommendations, begging for subscriptions. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 115. Underground Palace. Emissary, please report again. Ziluan clenched her teeth. Go back. King has made it very clear that the mission is over. Outside the door, the deep black shadow's voice was deep and calm. No. Ziluan shook her head with a grief-stricken expression. Then wouldn't Captain have died in vain? His skills are inferior. The black-clothed emissary's voice was cold. Ziluan bit her lips, and a trace of stubbornness flashed in her eyes. She was about to rush through the door. However, pong! An incomparably majestic force blocked her. Her body fell to the ground uncontrollably. Without a doubt, if that force really wanted to deal with Ziluan, her injuries would have worsened. However, Ziluan was also quite stubborn. Although her face was pale, her eyes were still firm. Why bother? The black-clothed emissary sighed. How can you men of sacrifice understand the feelings in this world? Ziluan's eyes were filled with sorrow. Understand? Don't understand? The black-clothed emissary's eyes flashed and did not care about Ziluan's tone. Go back. King's decision is not something you can change. Looking at Ziluan's miserable expression on the ground, the black-clothed emissary hesitated and said, Actually, you should understand that the prey this time not only has a flying device with defensive capabilities, but also a rare illusory armor. His background is definitely not simple. The fact that he failed 3 times in a row has already proved everything. But Zielwan wanted to say something, but stopped and bit her lips. How could she not understand? However, she was really unwilling. Because of the platinum flying device, Greenwood Dove's identity has been exposed. The black-clothed emissary's expression was solemn. King is very angry. This failure has brought great trouble to the Hunters' Alliance. If you add oil to the fire, your life will be in danger. I'm not afraid. Zielwan's expression was very determined. If you're not afraid of death, then take revenge yourself. The black-clothed emissary's voice was bone-chilling. But I'm not his opponent. Zielwan's expression was lonely and powerless. Thinking of the scene when she tried to assassinate him, she was like a mouse being teased by a cat. So pitiful. Then accept the Doomsday Plan's death trial. The black-clothed emissary's eyes emitted a cold light. Zielwan's body suddenly trembled. In an instant, her lifeless eyes revealed a trace of hope. After exchanging information with General Gu Wan, Lin Feng stepped onto the teleportation array. Hua! White light flickered. A familiar scene flashed before Lin Feng's eyes, and he instantly returned to the Lin family village. At this time, the beast riot had just ended, and people were coming and going. His appearance was like a bolt of lightning falling from the clear sky, attracting everyone's attention. Hero of the battlefield. Look, the hero of the battlefield has returned safely. Great! All of a sudden, the Lin family village was filled with joy and prosperity. Feeling the worship and reverence gazes, Lin Feng felt his face turn red, and he felt a little uncomfortable. It was as if his every move had become the focus of attention. It's better for me to slip away. Lin Feng bitterly laughed and disappeared in the blink of an eye. After going down the mountain and passing through the energy barrier, Lin Feng quickly arrived at the familiar grassland. Unlike the fresh green before the beast riot, the grassland now was filled with corpses. The thick smell of blood mixed in the air, and it was extremely strong. It had not dissipated even until now. It could be seen how tragic the beast riot was. And this was only the tip of the iceberg in the Tianwu continent. At every moment, different beast riots were happening in different regions. It would not stop, only intensify. As Lin Feng walked towards the military camp, all the cultivators instinctively gave way to him, their eyes filled with awe and respect. This was a form of respect for the strong. Lin Feng had already become famous in one battle. Big brother Lin Feng, a clear voice rang out. Lin Feng saw a lively and excited figure from afar. Qin Ling was waving at him, and her bright eyes were filled with joy. That's great. Big brother Lin Feng, you're fine? Qin Ling was extremely happy. It's just a small injury. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. Looking at Qin Ling's clear eyes, Lin Feng's last bit of suspicion disappeared. It was obvious that Qin Ling did not know about her big sister Wan. Companion? The lowest requirement for a hunter in the Hunters' Union was to be at the level of Emperor Wu. And Qin Ling was only a beginner martial grandmaster. You scare me to death. Qin Ling patted her chest and said in shock, Big brother Lin Feng, that bad guy just now was really powerful. That's right. Lin Feng nodded. Indeed, in terms of strength, he was still a distance away from Greenwood Dove. Being able to win in the end was more or less due to luck. All right, Qin Ling, where did your big sister Wan go? Lin Feng asked indifferently. I don't know. Qin Ling shook her head. At that time, I was only focused on watching big brother Lin Feng fight in the sky. When I came back, I didn't see big sister Wan. However, with her strength, she should be fine. Is that so? Lin Feng smiled and paused. As he walked, he asked casually, All right, Qin Ling, how did you know Wan Zi? Ah, that's a long story. Qin Ling said excitedly. With Qin Ling accompanying him, he did not feel lonely. Soon, Lin Feng arrived at the military camp. Outside the gate, the Heaven Martial Army soldiers standing guard saw Lin Feng and were filled with respect. Their expressionless faces were filled with admiration and respect. The title of battlefield hero was not given easily. Let's go in. Lin Feng was gradually getting used to this feeling. Okay, Qin Ling replied softly. After entering the military camp, Lin Feng immediately saw a few familiar faces, including Li Tong and Li Meng, the commander of the Beast Riot, Jiang Luo, and Tiger Roaring Blade, Hu Yinming, who saved him from the Beast Riot. Brother Lin Feng, that's great. You're safe. Everyone immediately came forward to welcome him. Lin Feng smiled and greeted them one by one. No matter what, everyone had gone through hardships together and formed friendships on the battlefield. Thank you. Lin Feng nodded to Hu Yinming. It's my duty. Hu Yinming smiled and said, without a battlefield hero like you, I'm afraid that we would have suffered heavy casualties in this level 9 Beast Riot. His coldness and arrogance had long since disappeared. It was as if he had taken off the outer layer of an expert. It meant that Hu Yinming truly believed in Lin Feng. In the Tianwu continent, martial arts were respected. What the experts believed in was an even stronger expert. Let's exchange information. Lin Feng smiled and extended his left hand. Hu Yinming was stunned. Instantly, he was pleasantly surprised. Under the envious gazes of the surrounding people, as if he was afraid that Lin Feng would go back on his word, he hurriedly opened the communication device. Very quickly, it was completed. Lin Feng pointed at the fluorescent compass and nodded. If there's anything, find me. No matter what, I owe you a favor. Hu Yinming's heart thumped. His eyes were filled with surprise and joy. He immediately chuckled. Without caring about courtesy, he hurriedly replied, Okay. What a joke. That was a fire spirit master on the same level as Emperor Wu. Lin Feng was able to wipe out the Beast Riot, a Beast Riot, by himself. He was even able to defeat a wood spirit master on the same level as Emperor Wu. What a terrifying strength. In the future, if Brother Lin Feng can become a titled martial god. Hu Yinming's eyes shone with incomparable brilliance. He was unable to contain his joy as he grinned. A favor from a titled martial god. How precious would that be? Just thinking about it made him happy. That's right, Major General Jiang. Have the points been calculated? Lin Feng's eyes twinkled. What he cared about the most was the points needed to level up. Directly upgrading from a 6-star hunter to a 7-star hunter required 1 million points. Directly upgrading from a 5-star hunter to a 6-star hunter required 100,000 points. And directly upgrading from a 1-star hunter to a 7-star hunter required 1111110. It's still early. Jiang Luo shook his head. We still need to calculate the points and badges of all the warriors. We also need to carefully check and calculate. In addition, we still need to collect the materials of all the demonic beasts on the battlefield. After going through 3 procedures, it will take around 3 to 7 days for the points and rewards to be fully calculated. That long? Lin Feng frowned slightly. According to Jiang Luo's words, wouldn't he have to wait for another 3 to 7 days? Brother Lin Feng, are you in a hurry? Jiang Luo asked. Jiang Luo was one of the best when it came to observing people's expressions. He immediately nodded. It's within my power. I can only urge Brother Lin Feng to do it as soon as possible. The conversion and distribution of points isn't troublesome. However, the collection of materials from the demonic beasts will take at least 2 to 3 days. Lin Feng's eyes instantly lit up. I only need the points, Lin Feng said with a nod. Money was just a worldly possession. With his current strength, it was too easy for him to earn money. Jiang Luo was stunned. In fact, most warriors accepted missions for the sake of money. Although the demonic beast's rampage was dangerous, the reward of double the reward could be said to be the mission with the most generous reward. That's easy, Li Tong said. That's right. The other warriors need to calculate the points slowly. However, Brother Lin Feng, your points are the highest, 30%, Jiang Luo said with a smile. 30%? Lin Feng was slightly startled. Isn't it 20%? As far as he knew, Hu Yinming was the one with the highest 20%. Everyone immediately smiled. 20% is for ordinary warriors, Hu Yinming explained with a smile. Hu Yinming smiled and explained. On the battlefield, True powerhouses who perform outstandingly will be rewarded with a special title. For example, Battlefield General. The reward is 25%. As for Battlefield Hero, the reward is 30%. I see. Lin Feng suddenly understood. No wonder he was always called a battlefield hero. So this was the reason. The demonic beast's rampage this time is the lowest level of danger. The total points are 100 million, Zhang Luo said with a straight face as he skillfully operated an energy machine. Soon, ding. A hunter card appeared in Zhang Luo's hand. 30 million points have been transferred to the card, Zhang Luo said with a smile. Lin Feng nodded with satisfaction. Originally, he thought that 1 million points would be enough. However, he didn't expect it to be 30 times more. Not to mention a 7-star hunter, it's more than enough to upgrade to an 8-star hunter. Lin Feng took the hunter card and smiled. After exchanging a few polite messages with the others, Lin Feng left the barracks after exchanging a few pleasantries. Let's go back to the hunter mission hall and level up to the hunter star level. Then, Lin Feng sped up and shot out like an arrow. Test the warrior's rank. Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly. I wonder how strong I am now. It's the 6th day of Chinese New Year. Valentine's Day is over. New Year's Day is over. Update notice. Starting from the 7th day of Chinese New Year, 3 chapters will be released every day. Apart from the original 0, 00, and 12 o'clock, the 3rd chapter will be released at 1800 hours. Thank you for your support. Please continue to subscribe, recommend, reward, and vote. Haha, I'm being a little greedy. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 116. Cloudy Sun City, Hunter Mission Hall. Have you heard? Chiwa Town has a battlefield hero. Old Shi, your news is too slow. Who doesn't know about this? Let me tell you, it's a fire spirit master at the level of an advanced Emperor Wu. He's very powerful. My God, no wonder he's so strong. Listening to everyone's words, Lin Feng calmly walked in. The news spread really fast. Lin Feng's lips curled up slightly, but it didn't matter. After all, no one knew him. It's just a rumor. As the news spread, it's exaggerated a lot. Lin Feng smiled helplessly. His strength was only at the level of a beginner Emperor Wu, but it was exaggerated to be an advanced Emperor Wu. It must be because of the strength of the Greenwood Dove. That's why there was such a rumor. That's good. It saved me a lot of trouble. Lin Feng thought. The stronger one was the higher one's position in the Sky Martial Continent, and the more one could get. He was well aware of this point. Walking towards the nearest mission window, it was different from the light screen and star screen hall. This was handled by the staff of the Hunter organization alone. It included issuing missions, accepting missions, receiving mission rewards, and so on. They were all done here alone. As for increasing the level of a Hunter star, it was also not done by himself. Lin Feng was about to take out his Hunter card when suddenly 6 domineering burly men appeared in front of him. They were reeking of blood, and they forced their way in. Get out of the way. Lin Feng frowned and shouted. What did you say, brat? The leading bald man had a fierce look on his face, and his voice suddenly became louder. Get lost. Lin Feng's eyes suddenly emitted a cold light. His pitch-black eyes sparkled like a lonely black hole, and a terrifying aura was emitted. Not to mention the bald man. Even the people around him felt as if their souls were trembling. Bang! The bald man fell to the ground in shock. It was an extremely terrifying feeling of suffocation. Lin Feng directly stepped over, and his calm expression was as if nothing had happened. Hello, I would like to upgrade my Hunter star. Lin Feng handed over his Hunter card. Every mission window had a dedicated staff member, and the short-haired beauty in front of him seemed to be frightened. Looking at the short-haired beauty, Lin Feng smiled. In an instant, it was as if the sun had appeared, melting the ice and snow. I'm okay. The short-haired beauty came back to her senses and nodded. Inserting the Hunter card, instantly, in front of the mission window, one of the stars in the triangle formed by the 10 dim stars lit up. 1-star Hunter? Not only the short-haired beauty, but even the 6 burly men were stunned. They were a little dumbfounded. As for the bald man who was frightened by Lin Feng just now, his face instantly turned deathly pale. It was as if he felt a kind of humiliation. He hurriedly got up, and his eyes revealed an ominous glint. But 3,000,000,000 points. The short-haired beauty was a little speechless. She shook her head vigorously. The short-haired beauty rubbed her eyes, as if she was afraid that she was seeing things. Her eyes were wide open. Indeed, it was 30 million points. Heavens! The bald man had just stood up, but his legs went soft, and his whole body was powerless. The people around him all opened their mouths, as if they had turned into stone statues. Their eyes were filled with shock as they looked at Lin Feng. "Help me directly upgrade to an 8-star hunter," Lin Feng said indifferently. From a 1-star hunter directly to an 8-star hunter, the amount of points needed to upgrade was 1,111,110 points. To him, it was merely 1/3 of the cost. "Please hurry up." Lin Feng looked at the dazed short-haired beauty and said with a smile, "Oh, okay." The short-haired beauty's face was a little red. In an instant, the triangle formed by the 10 dim stars lit up one by one. 3 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars. This huge commotion immediately attracted the gazes of many cultivators in the surroundings. When they saw the 7th star light up, the crowd couldn't help but let out an uproar. This meant that this warrior had the strength of a beginner-level Emperor Wu. "Pa!" The 8th star lit up. The surrounding warriors immediately gasped. In Firmament City, there might be a few warriors with the strength of a 7-star hunter, but a warrior with the strength of an 8-star hunter was definitely one of a kind. Oh my God, who is he? What terrifying strength! Where did he come from? The 6 muscular men's faces turned pale, and the bald man in the lead was so regretful that his intestines turned green. Why would he offend an 8-star hunter when he couldn't afford to offend him? If he stomped his feet, the entire Firmament City would tremble. Did he want to kill him? It was too easy. Okay. The short-haired beauty carefully handed the hunter card back to Lin Feng. She had worked here for so many years, but she had never seen an 8-star hunter. However, this ordinary-looking young man in front of her actually, pursing her lips, the short-haired beauty's heart couldn't help but thump. "Thank you." Lin Feng took the hunter card and smiled. He didn't stay any longer and immediately turned to leave. Looking at Lin Feng's back as he left, the 6 muscular men couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. The bald man in the lead shook his head and smiled bitterly. It turned out that he was just a speck of dust in Lin Feng's eyes. It seemed that even teaching him a lesson was too troublesome. This is the spirit of a true expert. The bald man thought to himself. At this moment, could he be the battlefield hero? A Firmament martial sect's disciples' eyes lit up as he said excitedly. In an instant, the mission hall was in an uproar. Yes. I heard from the boss that the battlefield hero is a young man of about 20 years old. It's very similar. Yes. Otherwise, how could he have so many upgrade points? He must be the battlefield hero. That's right. Everyone chimed in one after another, their faces flashing with excitement. They didn't expect to see the true face of the battlefield hero with their own eyes. However, Lin Feng was already far away. 6th floor, Warrior's Gate. The Hunter Organization was the only place in the Tianwu continent that evaluated the ranks of warriors. After entering the 6th floor, there was a vast hall in front of him. Countless warriors were gathered here, and they were talking loudly. It was very lively. At the outermost side of the hall, there were 9 gates in order. Different colors represented different ranks of warriors. For example, to be evaluated as an intermediate warrior, one had to enter the 2nd gate, Orange Gate. To be evaluated as an advanced martial grandmaster, one had to enter the 6th gate, Indigo Gate. That was how the Warrior's Gate came about. I want to go to the 7th gate, Purple Gate. Lin Feng murmured indifferently, and his eyes lit up. After passing the test, I can become the true elementary Emperor Wu. 7-star hunter, elementary Emperor Wu. Lin Feng couldn't help but smile. He couldn't wait. Stepping forward, Lin Feng saw the 10-meter-tall purple gate from afar with his eyesight. At this moment, Lin Feng was surprised. Lin Feng? Lin Feng. Not far away, the two youths saw Lin Feng and were surprised. Lin Feng smiled and walked over. Since he met them, he had to greet them. Moreover, the two of them had guided him before. Xianglei, Wang Aolong, long time no see. Lin Feng smiled the two of them. In the past, they were hostile to each other. Who would have thought that they would be inseparable now? It really proved one sentence. Enemies were bound to meet. Long time no see, Lin Feng. Wang Aolong nodded, and his voice was as cold and arrogant as usual. Lin Feng, I lost to you in the warrior assessment last time, and I'm not willing to accept it. Xianglei patted his chest, and his eyes were filled with fighting spirit. So, when are you free to spar? Spar? Lin Feng smiled and shook his head. I have something to do. I'm so petty and gutless. Xianglei's mouth twitched, and he was disappointed. He had been brooding over his loss in the warrior assessment half a year ago. Wang Aolong glanced at Lin Feng, and his eyes brightened. Lin Feng, don't be careless. I'll catch up to you sooner or later. Good luck. Lin Feng smiled. After half a year, the two of them were still the same, and their personalities hadn't changed at all. Speaking of which, he also missed the competition between them during the martial practitioner combat assessment. Healthy competition made people improve. After bidding farewell to the two of them, Lin Feng immediately turned and left. His relationship with Wang Aolong and Xianglei was only so there was no need to talk too much. Not only are we improving, Lin Feng is already a beginner martial grandmaster. Wang Aolong said softly as he looked at Lin Feng's back and the blazing iron soaring dragon spear behind him. So what? Xianglei turned his head and snorted. He doesn't even dare to spar. Coward. Maybe he really has something to do, Wang Aolong said softly. As he spoke, he seemed to have thought of something, and his eyes revealed a hint of surprise. That's right, everyone who comes to the Warrior's Gate is to be assessed. Lin Feng, could it be that he's already assessed as an intermediate martial grandmaster? It can't be. Xianglei frowned, but his voice seemed to lack confidence. After all, from what they saw, Lin Feng was already a beginner martial grandmaster. If it wasn't for the assessment, why would he come to the Warrior's Gate? Obviously, the answer was obvious. The two hurriedly turned around and stared at Lin Feng's back. They saw him walk through the 5th gate, the blue gate, then the 6th gate, the indigo gate, and finally the 7th gate, the purple gate. The two of them swallowed their saliva and were so scared that their eyes almost fell out of their sockets. Am I seeing things? Wang Aolong felt his whole body go soft and trembled. He entered the purple gate. Lin Feng entered the purple gate. Xianglei's expression was stunned, and he was stunned. The two of them looked at each other and saw the fear and shock in each other's eyes. It had only been half a year. That's impossible after the time it took for an incense stick to burn. Lin Feng had a faint smile on his face as he slowly walked out of the purple gate. He passed easily. Speed, 2,390 meters per second. Strength, 3988 June, which was equivalent to 119,640 Gene, close to 120,000 Gene. Body toughness, 369 titanium. The effect of a dragon essence is really powerful. Lin Feng clicked his tongue and sighed. Although his speed didn't increase by much, his strength and body toughness increased by leaps and bounds. Originally, his weakest strength was 75,000 Gene before he swallowed the dragon essence. It was still one step away from the 80,000 Gene standard of the beginner Emperor Wu. But now, it had increased by more than 1.5 times. His strength was close to 120,000 Gene, and it wasn't inferior to his speed at all. Strength is finally no longer my weakness. Lin Feng was very satisfied. Every time his strength increased, his strength would fiercely drag him down, giving him a headache. And the thing he was most overjoyed about was his body toughness. Before he swallowed the dragon essence, his body toughness was around 200 titanium. But now, heavens, it directly broke through the intermediate Emperor Wu's body standard of 256 titanium and reached the terrifying value of 369 titanium. My strength has not only reached the level of the beginner Emperor Wu, it has also surpassed the average standard. Lin Feng clenched his fist, and his eyes shone brightly. Finally, it's time. Lin Feng nodded and smiled calmly. Then, he opened the fluorescent compass. After finding the familiar communication information, Lin Feng dialed it without hesitation, about to enter Hunt and join one of the four great powers. Roar twice. Looking for recommendations, looking for subscriptions, to be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 117. Have you heard? The battlefield hero is actually a disciple of our Firmament Sun martial sect. Don't joke around. That's someone who can kill a high-level behemoth lord. Is there anyone at the level of Emperor Wu in the Firmament Sun martial sect? Why would I lie to you? It's Senior Lin Feng. He just passed the Junior Emperor Wu certification 2 days ago. Is this for real? Lin Feng was famous, especially in the Firmament City. Everyone knew about it. The disciples of the Firmament Sun martial sect were extremely proud. They held their heads high when they went out. That was the battlefield hero. One must know that the beast's riot lasted for more than 4 months. There were only a few warriors who could get this title. In the Firmament City, no, in the entire Blazing Sun County, Lin Feng was the only one. Brother Lin is really powerful. In the Qianwu Chamber of Commerce, Meng Fei held his belly and smiled like a Buddha. Fortunately, I didn't go against him. In the Chihuahua martial sect, Yin Feng wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. He felt that it was dangerous. Almost. One wrong step, and all the steps were wrong. If he had stubbornly protected Lin Xianglong that day, now, he was in big trouble. This kid, damn, he really hit it well. Li Han laughed and scolded. No wonder he could kill Tam Lang and his group. It turns out that Brother Lin Feng is the legendary fire spirit master. He really hit it well. Li Han shook his head slightly, but he could understand Lin Feng's difficulties. Hero of the battlefield, Wang Aolong and Wang Xianglong looked at each other and sighed in surprise. Thinking about it, they were really ridiculous. 3 days later, in the morning. Father, I have to go. Lin Feng bowed slightly. After another round of cultivation in the dark illusion, Lin Feng bade farewell to his father, Lin Xiaotian. Today was the day he had promised to meet Zi Yao. Go. Lin Xiaotian's expression was calm. This is a good opportunity for you to train. Yes. Lin Feng nodded as he suddenly recalled what Zi Yao had said to him. Take care of all the trivial matters in 3 days. Enter heaven-breaking city and join the Doomsday Plan. What is the Doomsday Plan? Lin Feng didn't know, but from Zi Yao's tone, he could tell he was definitely not ordinary. Feng Lin Xiaotian called softly. Yes, father, Lin Feng replied. Looking at his son, Lin Xiaotian's eyes revealed a rare soft light. Be careful. In an instant, Lin Feng's heart was filled with warmth, and he felt incomparably warm. Thousands of words couldn't compare to these 5 short words. I will, father. Lin Feng smiled, confident and calm. Then, Lin Feng gently retreated. Mother, you have to take care of your body. Lin Feng carefully reminded her. Feng, you have to take care of yourself too. Don't be too tired. Lin Wanqing's eyes were filled with deep concern and reluctance. Her son was usually separated more than together. It was really tiring to support a family with one hand. Lin Feng smiled and gently hugged his mother. There was no need to say anything. At this moment, a hug showed the affection between mother and son. Shui, learn well from master, okay? Lin Feng turned to look at his sister, Lin Shui. Don't worry, brother. Master is very good to me. Lin Shui replied with a smile. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. Once bitten, twice shy. After what happened last time, his sister seemed to have matured a lot. She was enlightened and learned a lot. Indeed, most of the time, only after experiencing failure, falling, and pain would one truly grow. "Brother, help me take good care of mother and sister," Lin Feng said softly. "Don't worry, brother." Lin Yun patted his chest. Lin Feng smiled indifferently. On Lin Yun's chest, there was a purple Tianwu card signed by him. This was the most distinguished status of the Tianwu Chamber of Commerce. Only those with more than 100 million Tianwu coins were qualified to apply for it. To Lin Feng, earning money was too simple. "With this money, I don't have to worry about my family's livelihood." Lin Feng nodded. There was no more worry in his heart. In these 3 days, he went deep into the number 11 primeval forest alone and hunted 7 high-level beasts, 56 mid-level beasts, and countless low-level beasts. For other martial artists, it might be extremely difficult to hunt down the beasts. After all, beasts with intelligence were very cunning. They had a large number of subordinates and knew how to seek luck and avoid danger. If they encountered a martial artist stronger than them, they would have fled. They were very difficult to deal with. But Lin Feng, with the help of the Cloud Shuttle, even the fastest beasts couldn't escape from him. In 3 days, he had earned 300 million Tianwu coins. The corner of Lin Feng's mouth twitched. He couldn't help but laugh when he thought about the appearance of the staff in the Hunter's Exchange. Indeed, this wasn't earning money. It was simply printing money, 6th floor cultivation room. Lin Feng's expression was calm. He slowly put on the 7 layers of titanium energy suit and snow concealment armor. He put on the enigmatic flame gloves, lightning slaughter ring, and extreme jade wrist guards. Then, he sheathed the ice soul soaring dragon spear. In an instant, he looked like a new person. The snow concealment armor was filled with a pure white luster. The Fire Spirit Master set emitted a fiery red luster. The combination of the two was dazzling and outstanding. Of all the equipment on Lin Feng, the most expensive were undoubtedly the enigmatic flame gloves, lightning slaughter ring, and extreme jade wrist guards. Each one cost 50 million Tianwu coins, and this was the price after a 50% discount. Just this alone cost 150 million Tianwu coins. But it's worth it. Lin Feng smiled faintly. In an instant, a shocking primordial fire gathered in his hands. The deep orange luster emitted a chilling light. The color was much deeper. The flame was 30 centimeters tall. It was more than 50% higher than the previous 20 centimeters. "Indeed, you get what you pay for," Lin Feng said to himself. The 150 million Tianwu coins were not spent in vain. The control, power, and sensitivity of the primordial fire increased by 80%. It was completely different from the previous 30%. Lin Feng knew very well that to do a good job, one must first sharpen the tools. "My strongest strength is a Fire Spirit Master. The better the equipment, the stronger the power I can unleash." Lin Feng clenched his fist. His eyes were bright. "Ha!" The primordial fire was extinguished. With light steps, Lin Feng left. To heaven-breaking city. Scorching sun set. Bang! A ball of flame rose. "Damn it, it's not him again." Fire God was furious. The pile of investigation materials in his hands was burned to ashes. Of the 8 suspected Fire Spirit Masters, the 3 most suspicious ones have all been investigated. Scarlet Pheasant Sect Master frowned. "I didn't expect to find nothing after half a month of investigation." "Who did it?" Fire God gritted his teeth. Thinking of the tragic deaths of his treasures, his eyes were burning. "The murderer is very cunning." Scarlet Pheasant Sect Master shook his head. Not only did he not sell a single fire spirit pill, he didn't even take any materials from the fire spirit beasts. "I can't help but suspect his motives. If not for money, why would he kill so many fire spirit beasts?" There were many doubts. No, it should be said that it was very strange. Scarlet Pheasant Sect Master looked at Fire God and shrugged helplessly. "Looks like the murderer may not have revealed his identity as a Fire Spirit Master, so we can't find anything for now." Fire God's eyes were fierce. He snorted coldly. "The net of heaven has a long way to go. I don't believe he can hide it forever. Scarlet Pheasant Sect Master smiled casually. He knew Fire God's stubbornness. Whoever messed with him would be in big trouble. At this moment, creak, the door was slowly pushed open. An old man with a white beard walked in. He had a kind expression and seemed to be in high spirits. Seeing the person, Scarlet Pheasant Sect Master couldn't help but be surprised. Second Elder? Sect Master. Second Elder cupped his hands and said, "This is the information you wanted me to investigate about the battlefield hero." As he spoke, he took out a thick stack of papers. Second Elder couldn't help but laugh. What a coincidence. This battlefield hero is actually the genius Fire Spirit Master that Zhong Liang didn't recruit last time. Genius Fire Spirit Master? Fire God's eyes couldn't help but burn. Currently, he was very sensitive to the words Fire Spirit Master. Scarlet Pheasant Sect Master couldn't help but be surprised. Isn't that battlefield hero a Fire Spirit Master at the level of Advanced Emperor Wu? It's just a rumor that was exaggerated. Second Elder laughed. Actually, that battlefield hero is only a Fire Spirit Master at the level of Beginner Emperor Wu. He just passed the Strength level certification. Then, Second Elder handed the stack of papers to Scarlet Pheasant Sect Master and clicked his tongue. However, he's also very powerful. He was actually able to kill Green Wood Dove. That's a genuine Advanced Emperor Wu. Absolute silence. Both Fire God and Scarlet Pheasant Sect Master were stunned. Does he use a spear? Fire God almost roared as he asked. Second Elder was shocked. He looked at Scarlet Pheasant Sect Master and saw that his eyes were shining brightly. He immediately understood. This matter wasn't simple. Yes, it's all in the information. Second Elder said with a serious expression. This child's attainments in spear arts aren't weak either. The words that came after could no longer be heard. Scarlet Pheasant Sect Master kept flipping through the information while Fire God stood to the side. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Astonishing elemental flames ignited all over his body, making it impossible for others to approach. Soon, Scarlet Pheasant Sect Master browsed through the information. The records were indeed very detailed. Almost everything that should be there was there. I originally thought the battlefield hero was Advanced Emperor Wu. Scarlet Pheasant Sect Master let out a long sigh. Indeed, he didn't think too much about it. After all, to be able to kill Green Wood Dove, who was at the Advanced Emperor Wu level, who would have thought? It was actually a Beginner Emperor Wu. Sect Master, Fire God, gritted his teeth. He was like a volcano that was about to erupt. He has a flying treasure. His strength is between an Advanced Martial Grand Master and a Beginner Emperor Wu. Also, he uses a spear. Scarlet Pheasant Sect Master's eyes sparkled. The three conditions all match. In addition, during the Round Table Conference, he had entered the ruins of error. Basically, it's not far from the truth. Who is he? Fire God's hair and beard stood upright. His eyes were spitting fire. Scarlet Pheasant Sect Master closed the information. His eyes revealed a cold glint as he slowly spat out two words. Lin Feng. Unknowingly, it's already the 7th day of the Lunar New Year. The New Year has passed just like that. It's so fast. From today onwards, the third watch begins. Looking for recommendations, looking for subscriptions, to be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 118. In the Sky Martial Continent, there were 4 king cities and 16 counties. Every county had countless cities. For example, within the Blazing Sun County, there were 51 cities the size of the Sky Sun City. The population of each city was different, but on average, there were about 2 million people. Including the surrounding towns and villages within the Sky Sun City, there were about 8 million people. Within the Blazing Sun County, there were 400 million people in the surrounding towns. In addition, the area of the city itself was 100 times larger than the Sky Sun City. Within the Blazing Sun County, the total population was more than 500 million. An astonishing number. The four great powers, with the four king cities as the center, occupied the 16 counties. Each king city was not inferior to the size of county, but the population was extremely small. This is one of the four king cities, the sky-breaking city. Lin Feng exclaimed. Compared to the Sky Sun City, this place had a strong metallic style, bright colors, and transparent luster. The strong lines were like the weapons in the hands of strong warrior. If the Sky Sun City was an adult, then the sky-breaking city was a fully equipped warrior. So familiar. Lin Feng frowned and fell into deep thought. He felt like he had seen a similar architectural style somewhere before suddenly. Yes, the ruins of Air. Lin Feng's eyes lit up as he suddenly understood. When he entered the center of the ruins of Air, he had the same feeling, as if he had entered a new world. The only difference was that the sky-breaking city was intact, while the ruins of Air were just ruins. Welcome to the sky-breaking city. A clear voice suddenly rang in his ears, lingering in his ears. Lin Feng's mouth curved into a faint smile. Just by listening to the voice, he knew who it was. It was the figure that had been deeply imprinted in his mind, the figure that he had been dreaming about. Smiling at the fairy-like figure that he hadn't seen for a long time, Lin Feng slowly opened his mouth and said, "I'm here." 3 short words, but it covered everything. For this moment, Lin Feng had put in too much effort unknown to others. "It's half a year earlier than I expected." Ziyao smiled. Her sparkling eyes stared at Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. Indeed, if he hadn't entered the mysterious sea of flames, it would be absolutely impossible for his strength to improve so swiftly. "Just a little bit of luck," Lin Feng said humbly. Ziyao smiled and didn't ask any further. After that, a strand of light flickered as an expanse of violet-colored lotuses suddenly appeared beneath Ziyao's feet. They were multicolored and beautiful, and they enveloped Ziyao within them, causing her to seem like a lotus celestial maiden at the center of the flower. The lotus platform rose slightly and instantly floated in midair. What a marvelous skill! Lin Feng stared blankly. He didn't understand it during the preparatory martial artist assessment, so he didn't know what it meant. But now, his horizons were already different. What powerful control over the primordial tree! Lin Feng was shocked. This level of control over the primordial tree left him in the dust. They were both wood spirit masters, but the difference between Greenwood Dove and Ziyao was like the difference between an infant and an adult. They weren't even on the same level. "I heard you have a flying treasure. Battlefield hero?" Ziyao winked mischievously. Lin Feng smiled awkwardly. He didn't expect Ziyao to be so well-informed. However, the words battlefield hero sounded especially strange coming from Ziyao's mouth. Primordial fire poured in. In an instant, the cloud shuttle appeared. With a light leap, Lin Feng jumped onto the cloud shuttle. Ziyao looked indifferently. A glint flashed across her eyes. She smiled and said, "Let's go." Whoosh! The lotus platform sped away. Lin Feng immediately followed. "This is the hunt's base. Only official members of the hunt can enter," Ziyao explained to Lin Feng as they sped through the air. "No wonder there are so few people," Lin Feng thought to himself. Along the way, it was like an empty city. He didn't see anyone. Stunned, Lin Feng suddenly remembered the requirements to join the hunt. He exclaimed, "Then wouldn't Heaven-Breaking City be filled with people on the same level as Emperor Wu?" "Of course." Ziyao smiled and nodded. The 4 great royal cities symbolize status and identity. They're also known as Emperor Wu City. Lin Feng was shocked. He was overwhelmed with shock. The huge Heaven Sun City had a population of 8 million, but there wasn't a single person on the same level as Emperor Wu. However, in the 4 great royal cities, they were like commoners. They were unremarkable. Looking at Lin Feng's shocked expression, Ziyao smiled. She seemed to want to shock him to death. There are even higher existences above the 4 great royal cities. There are. Lin Feng was stunned. Higher than the royal cities, yes, Sky City. Ziyao pointed to the sky. Her eyes were bright. Only those with the strength of a tidal martial god are qualified to stay there. Heavens! Lin Feng looked up at the sky and exclaimed, "There was always a higher mountain. Indeed, the path of cultivation, it was endless. Half a year ago, I left the Lin family village. Who would have thought that I would become existence on the same level as Emperor Wu in such a short time?" Lin Feng's eyes were filled with passion and determination. "The future is blank. Although Sky City is out of my reach now, one day I will definitely set foot on that land." Lin Feng's conviction was incomparably firm. In a split second, the cloud shuttle drew a beautiful arc and caught up with the Lotus platform. "That is..." Lin Feng's eyes widened. From afar, he could already see a huge egg-shaped building. It was like a creeping giant beast. It was more than 10,000 meters long and stretched as far as the eye could see. It was extremely shocking. The semicircular shape was like a huge egg with half of it embedded in the ground. The milky white light shone with a sparkling luster, forming a faint layer of light film. It was like an energy shield. From afar, it was incomparably exquisite and beautiful. "This is the training base of the show." Ziyao nodded lightly. "Training base?" Lin Feng's eyes were bright. It didn't seem ordinary. Because of this extermination of the 8th rank beast horde, the longest round-table conference was held in Sky City. Ziyao said indifferently. In the end, the marshal's residents and show put aside their former enmity. For the survival and continuation of mankind, they jointly decided on the Doomsday Plan. And Lin Feng, what you're going to join now is one of the main parts of the Doomsday Plan, the tempering of a martial god. Listening to Ziyao's words, Lin Feng's heart beat faster. In Sky Martial Continent, the meaning of the two words martial god was quite extraordinary. It was an existence that truly stood at the peak. When the end of the world comes, only the titled martial god has the power to protect themselves. Only then will they have a chance of survival. The competition in the training base is very fierce. The resources are limited. All the warriors do their best for only one goal, to become a martial god. Ziyao looked at Lin Feng seriously, her starry eyes shining. "Don't be complacent. Those who can enter show and receive the tempering of a martial god are all dragons among men." Lin Feng nodded. He had long known about the strength of show. At that time, he had heard Qinhua mention that even many special geniuses who wanted to enter show had no way out. "Give up everything and charge forward with all your strength. Do your best." Ziyao clenched her small fists. "I will," Lin Feng replied. Even if Ziyao didn't say it, he would do his best. If the beast horde were to erupt without enough strength, how could he protect his family? Whoosh! With a dive, Ziyao landed on the ground. The purple lotus disappeared, and Lin Feng put away his cloud shuttle. His feet landed on the ground. In front of him, the huge egg was like a terrifying king-level beast resting. A faint white light shone faintly, giving people an indescribable feeling of deterrence. Looking in the direction of his senses, Lin Feng suddenly raised his head and looked at the sky. In a split second, Lin Feng violently shook, his face pale. It was a pair of incomparably huge black balls with a diameter of 100 meters. The dim light contained an extremely terrifying power. Endless darkness instantly pressed down on Lin Feng, causing him to suffocate. But in an instant, Lin Feng's pitch-black eyes emitted a burning light, and a powerful soul power suddenly erupted. Bang! It was as if two forces collided. Heavens, what is this? Lin Feng was extremely shocked. He looked around, and his heart was suddenly filled with shock. "This is the head of the Golden T-Rex," Ziyao said softly. "Golden T-Rex?" Lin Feng was stunned. He seemed to have heard this name before. Suddenly, Lin Feng's body trembled, and his eyes lit up. Right, the Class 7 beast horde 300 years ago. At that time, the legendary martial artist Jean Patien appeared out of nowhere, and with a single blade, he killed the Golden T-Rex. He became known as the Heaven Breaker martial god. He became a hero of humanity and was given the title of Hunting God. It was a pair of dragon eyes. Why is the head of the golden T-Rex here? Lin Feng looked at Zi Yao in confusion, and his expression suddenly changed. Could it be? Zi Yao smiled faintly. That's right. Hunt was created by the Heaven Breaker martial god. Back then, the Sky Martial continent only had 3 major powers, but with the appearance of the Heaven Breaker martial god, he broke all the rules and controlled the scattered hunter organization. From then on, there were 4 major powers. Lin Feng couldn't help but feel a surge of emotions. He felt his blood boil because of the power of the Heaven Breaker martial god. This was a true powerhouse. One man, one blade, opened up a new territory and achieved an unparalleled reputation. How stupid, I should have thought of it. Lin Feng smiled. Heaven-Shattering City was simply named after the heaven-shattering martial god. All right, Zi Yao said slowly. I'll send you here. And Lin Feng nodded lightly, and his eyes were focused on the pitch-black dragon mouth passage, a blazing light in them. Lin Feng's heart was filled with excitement and anticipation as he stepped into the room. A new journey. I'm a little late to upload again. Please forgive me. Today's third update, 1800 hours. Xiao Xiao's typing speed is getting slower and slower. I'm ashamed at _at. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 119. The passage was dark, silent, and oppressive. It was completely silent. It was as if it was completely isolated from the surrounding space. The air was very thin, and the huge pressure was like a violent hurricane. It was dark, like the depths of hell. What a strange place, Lin Feng murmured. The surrounding pressure was heavy, like the golden gorilla Tyrannosaurus Rex's remaining dragon aura. It was suffocating. His body felt a heavy pressure. Suddenly, the ferocious appearance of the golden gorilla Tyrannosaurus Rex appeared in Lin Feng's mind. The dragon's roar was deafening, as if it was going to devour people. Hua! Lin Feng's eyes lit up. His powerful soul power allowed him to maintain his original state of mind, and Lin Feng's mind was clear. A test. Lin Feng smiled faintly. This kind of pressure, compared to the daily training in the illusory realm of darkness, paled in comparison. He was not shaken at all. It was as simple and easy as breathing. The first time in the illusory realm of darkness, Lin Feng could last 38 seconds in the first layer soul personage, and now, he could last more than 60 seconds in the second layer soul personage. It was more than 10 times stronger. Training base. Oh, what a strong soul power and temperament. The person who spoke was a man in a blue robe. It's rare. The cold voice of the woman in white slowly opened her mouth. The man in the blue robe couldn't help but smile. Frost, you rarely praise people. Master Blue Hunter also rarely pays attention to newcomers. Frost said indifferently. Frost, you have a sharp tongue. Master Blue Hunter couldn't help but laugh. Xiao specifically asked me to do it. How could I dare to neglect it? Is that so? Frost replied faintly, but her eyes were fixed on the light screen. We've reached the Dragon Spine Road. Master Blue Hunter's eyes flashed. The darkness was gone, and there was a bright road in front of them. However, the pressure was many times stronger than before. Lin Feng looked at the bumpy ground in front of him. It was like a lotus root, and he was a little confused. Let's go. In an instant, Lin Feng made his decision. This was because there was no other way. He stepped in with his right foot. Suddenly, boom, Lin Feng felt as if every inch of his skin was trembling. He could only feel waves of terrifying energy gathering from all directions, pressing down on his body. The voice of the golden armor Tyrannosaurus Rex in his mind was getting clearer and clearer, and the ferocious face of the golden armor Tyrannosaurus Rex appeared before his eyes. Very strong, very violent. Illusion. Lin Feng's eyes lit up, and he instantly threw away all distracting thoughts. At this moment, his body was actually trembling violently. Lin Feng's heart was beating wildly. Pung, pung. It was as if the terrifying dragon might was still lingering in his chest as it roared nonstop. However, Every time he roared, his body seemed to be subtly changing, becoming stronger and more resilient. Suddenly, a word popped up in Lin Feng's mind. Martial God tempering. Is this tempering? Lin Feng was pleasantly surprised. Although the pain was intense, it was still within his tolerance range. More importantly, he could feel his body's strength increasing steadily every moment. Lin Feng was extremely excited. Frost, let's make a bet? Blue Hunter smiled. Bet on what? Frost replied indifferently without turning her head. Let's bet on how many segments of the dragon's spine this little guy can walk. If he can walk past 8 segments, you win. How about it? Blue Hunter blinked. Blue Hunter, you're really calculating, Frost said coldly. Bing Shuang coldly opened her mouth and said, the training base has 66 initial stage martial emperors. Less than 10 of them were able to pass through the 8th segment of the dragon spine. The only initial stage martial emperor who was able to pass through it on his first try is Xiao Jian. You don't dare? Blue Hunter smiled. Let's make a bet. Frost frowned slightly. Same old rules, 1 heavenly treasure point. Deal. Blue Hunter snapped his fingers. A cunning look flashed across his eyes, and he smiled casually. Frost was still unable to take the provocation. At this moment, Lin Feng was slowly walking forward. One step, another step, just like in a mysterious sea of fire. The further he walked, the greater the force his body had to endure. But at the same time, the benefits increased. His skin became tougher, stronger, and more powerful. The image of the golden Tyrannosaurus Rex in his mind became clearer and clearer. The supreme dragon might made Lin Feng unable to breathe. However, he still gritted his teeth and persevered. His blood vessels were expanding, and his skin showed signs of cracking. Hold on. Lin Feng clenched his fists and roared in his heart. Every minute he persevered, his strength would increase. There seemed to be an invisible force pushing him from behind. Lin Feng could only move forward step by step, unable to stop. Slowly, he reached his limit. His lips were bleeding, and his eyes were bloodshot. However, Lin Feng still refused to give up. 6 segments. 7 segments. 8 segments. It can't be, right? Blue Hunter was shocked. A rare smile appeared on Frost's cold face. Seeing Lin Feng cross the 8th segment and enter the 9th segment, Frost smiled faintly. She had won. At this moment, Blue Hunter had already stood up. His relaxed smile turned serious, and his eyes lit up. His bright eyes stared at the light screen, afraid that he would miss something. The 11th segment. Frost's lips curled into a smile. On the screen, Lin Feng's body was staggering, and he seemed to have lost consciousness. However, his body was still slowly crossing Bang. He fainted. What a stubborn little guy, Blue Hunter praised. Indeed. Frost nodded. Among the 66 beginner Emperor Wu, the one with the best potential, Little Sword, has only crossed the 10th segment. Ha ha! Blue Hunter suddenly laughed out loud. I underestimated him. How could someone brought here by Zi Yao be mediocre? Not bad. 1 heavenly treasure point in exchange for a future titled martial god. It's worth it. Blue Hunter's eyes lit up. He looked at Frost. I'll leave this little guy to you, Frost. Don't worry, Frost replied faintly. Whoosh! Lin Feng opened his eyes. Everything in front of him was bright. The air was fresh and natural. His body seemed to have regained its freedom and movement. Just now, Lin Feng's eyes turned cold. He immediately thought about it. He should have fainted at the end of the mysterious passage. Now, why was he here? You're awake. A cold voice sounded. Lin Feng looked over. It was a woman in white. She was very beautiful, but there was no expression on her face. She looked cold, as if she was otherworldly. Her body was light, as if there was nothing. She stood in front of him calmly, but he could not feel her presence. So strong. Lin Feng looked at the woman in white in amazement. He was speechless. Let me introduce myself. I'm Frost. You can call me teacher, the woman said, because from today onwards, I'll be responsible for everything you do in the training base. Yes, teacher, Lin Feng said respectfully as he came back to his senses. There was no reluctance, And he did not look down on the woman in white in front of him because she was a woman, because she was an existence that surpassed Emperor Wu's level. A titled martial god. Very good. Frost showed a rare smile. How do you feel? Lin Feng got up and moved his body. Although he felt a little strange, it was not a big problem. He nodded. No problem. Suddenly, Lin Feng could not help but recall what had just happened. He asked curiously, Teacher, that passage just now was Dragon Spine Road. It's used to train the body. The first time you enter it, the effect is the best. Frost's eyes shone. This was created by the Heaven Breaker martial god, using the essence of the golden T-Rex's spine. It uses the true dragon's aura to pressure the martial artist and stimulate the potential of the martial artist's body. It's especially effective in increasing the strength of the body. As she spoke, her expression was solemn. Clearly, Frost respected the Heaven Breaker martial god. So that's how it is. Lin Feng understood. Just now, his potential had been stimulated. 300 years ago, the Heaven Breaker martial god killed the golden T-Rex. He used a secret technique to create many incredible things. The Dragon Spine Road is one of them. Frost pondered, including the dragon's eye at the gate. It retains part of the golden T-Rex's aura. Training with it can increase one's soul power. Lin Feng nodded. Indeed, he was shocked by the dragon's eye in front of the gate. But what is the secret method? Lin Feng asked in confusion. The secret technique is the technology left behind by the previous energy civilization. Frost's eyes were filled with admiration. It's very advanced. It's beyond imagination. They can use energy stones, metal, ores, demonic beast materials, and so on to create anything they want. Energy weapons can allow a normal person to kill someone on the level of Emperor Wu. Flying treasures can allow a normal martial artist to have the same flying ability as a titled martial god. So powerful. Lin Feng was speechless. That's right. The cloud shuttle father gave me. Could it be a flying treasure created using a secret technique? Lin Feng could not help but wonder. It's a pity that many of the secret techniques have been lost. Frost shook her head. It's impossible to create a second Dragon Spine Road. In the Sky Martial Continent, there is no second golden T-Rex. Most of the remnants of the energy civilization have been discovered and excavated. For example, the training base we are in now. This is the remnants of the energy civilization. Lin Feng was shocked. No wonder it was so strange. Yes, it's just that some of the facilities were modified by the heaven-breaking martial god. Frost said indifferently. The training base has been maintained well. There is an energy shield protecting the outside. The inside has not suffered much damage. All the ancient machinery that far surpasses the current technology can operate normally. Ancient machinery? Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He was very curious. Let's go. Frost said, I'll bring you to familiarize yourself with the training base. In the future, you'll be staying here for a long time. Yes, teacher. Lin Feng nodded. Third update. All right. Writing is too slow, and Xiao Xiao is late again at _at. Everyone, please forgive me. Xiao Xiao will try to save a chapter in the next 2 days so that I can publish it on time in the future. Finally, please recommend me, subscribe me, vote me, reward me. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 120. This is where you will be staying from now on. Frost pointed as she walked out of the room. Lin Feng nodded. He remembered that the room was not big. It was only slightly bigger than his training room on the 6th floor. There were 2 floors. The lower floor was the training room, and the upper floor was the resting room. It was simple and clear. Here, this is the key. Frost handed over a thin metal card. Lin Feng took it and saw an interesting number 111 printed on it. Then, he put it into his pocket. Let's go. Frost nodded. Okay. Walking in the training room. I believe you already know about the beast riot. Frost looked at Lin Feng. Seeing him nod, she continued. The end of Tianwu continent is already decided. It will happen sooner or later. Humans have no choice but to struggle for survival. That is why the Round Table Conference decided on this doomsday plan. The four great powers have different resources. The martial god tempering method is also different. However, there is one thing in common. The goal, it is to nurture more titled martial gods. Lin Feng nodded in understanding. This was also the reason why he joined the martial god tempering plan. Only by becoming a titled martial god would he have a chance to survive. This training base contains the energy civilization ruins of many ancient civilization machines. It is the most honorable existence of the hunt, Frost said coldly. All this time, other than the warriors specially nurtured by the hunt, ordinary official members are not qualified to enter this place. As she spoke, the corners of Bing Shuang's mouth curled up. Lin Feng saw it and understood. Because many of the training facilities here have a lifespan, Frost said indifferently. For example, the Dragon Spine Path when you entered. With the current usage rate, the dragon's aura will be exhausted in 2 years. Many of the ancient civilization machines also have a limit of remaining energy. Lin Feng understood. It was like a train. Without energy stones, it would be scrap metal. But now everything is open. Frost's eyes flashed. If we can nurture one more titled martial god, the hunt will have more power. Lin Feng nodded. No matter how good the ancient civilization's machinery was, it was still an inanimate object that could not be taken away. For example, even though this training base was extremely precious and unique, in the end, it was all for naught. When the end of the world came, who would care about these worldly possessions? All the true geniuses of the martial heaven continent are gathered here. Bing Shuang's face was cold. All the warriors who have no hope of becoming martial gods in a short time have been eliminated. Now, there are 66 beginner Emperor Wu, 31 intermediate Emperor Wu, 12 advanced Emperor Wu, and the only advanced martial grandmaster left. Senior martial grandmaster? Lin Feng was stunned. Did he hear wrongly? Isn't the minimum requirement to become an official member of the hunt to become Emperor Wu? Lin Feng asked, puzzled. That's right, but there are exceptions. A strange glint flashed across Bing Shuang's eyes. Huan Yao is a true genius that is rarely seen in the Tianwu continent. When he was 10 years old, he suffered a soul mutation but managed to survive. Don't think that he is just a high-ranked martial grandmaster. If it was a real battle, not many martial supremes would be his match. Soul mutation? What's that? Lin Feng asked in surprise. It's a kind of talent, a terrifying power. Frost said indifferently. You will understand in the future. Oh, Lin Feng replied. Since Frost did not plan to explain, he did not ask anymore. Thinking that it had nothing to do with him, he skipped over it. The first requirement to become a titled martial god is soul power and body. Frost's voice rang out. Lin Feng's expression turned serious as he listened carefully. You must surpass the minimum requirement to become a titled martial god. As a fire spirit master, you do not lack soul power. In fact, all the celestial spirit masters who broke through were stuck at the bottleneck of the body. Lin Feng nodded solemnly. These words of experience were very important to him. Perhaps, with a little inspiration, he would be able to avoid many detours. Humans are a whole body. Breaking through to the titled martial god is a sublimation of life. The body and soul will undergo a transformation, a radical change, and step into a new level of life. Maybe now that you're cultivating the abilities of a fire spirit master, your strength will increase quickly, but Frost's eyes flashed as she said coldly, in the future, you will walk further and further on the road to becoming a titled martial god. Do you understand? Yes, teacher. Lin Feng nodded. No matter how strong he was as a fire spirit master, if his body did not reach the standard, it would be useless. If he could not become a titled martial god, it would all be for naught. I will temporarily give up all my fire spirit master cultivation and focus on improving my body. Lin Feng had always been a very decisive person. What he should do, he would do. He would not be indecisive. Very good. You have the right attitude. Frost showed an expression that said, actually, I've seen your strength certification data. To be honest, Lin Feng, your body's quality is unexpectedly good. There are no obvious weaknesses, but your body's strength is outstanding. Lin Feng smiled faintly, but did not explain. Could he tell Frost that it was because he had swallowed the dragon essence? Of the three body qualities, the body's strength is the hardest to improve. Frost said slowly, strength and speed are much easier. Other than using the ancient civilization's equipment to quickly improve, practicing secret weapon manuals and movement techniques will also have a significant effect. It can't be. Lin Feng was surprised. It can. Frost's eyes sparkled. Her voice was cold but firm. The increase of strength mostly depends on the increase of the muscles in your hands and the increase of the cell activity. The increase of speed also depends on the increase of the muscles in your legs and the cell activity. The more thorough your understanding of the spear moves, the stronger your technique, and the faster your strength will increase during practice. The higher the level of your movement technique, the more you practice it, and the faster your speed will increase. Just like a knife, the more you grind it, the sharper it will be. Hearing Lung Shuang's words, Lin Feng suddenly understood. Now that he thought about it, every time his strength increased, his strength and speed were slowly approaching his body's strength. But because he did not have much time to practice, and secondly, the rapid growth of his strength covered everything, especially when he was in the mysterious sea of fire. He almost gave up the practice of the firmament spear art and devoted all his attention to the cultivation of the fire spirit master. Indeed, it was difficult to have the best of both worlds. From tomorrow onwards, come to the spear arena to find me when you are free, Frost said faintly. Yes, teacher. Lin Feng was overjoyed. This was the first time he had sincerely called out the word teacher. Frost's words were like the sound of nature. The difference between someone teaching spear moves and no one teaching spear moves, the efficiency. The difference is like heaven and earth. This is the spear arena. This is the illusory heart room. This is the gravity training room. Bing Shuang led Lin Feng around and introduced the special places in the training base one by one. She didn't think it was troublesome. Walking in the ruins of the energy civilization, Lin Feng's horizons were indeed broadened. This place was like a new world, so strange and wonderful. Just listening to Bing Shuang's description made him yearn for it. The illusory heart room could improve one's temperament and concentration. The gravity training room could activate the gravity mode and improve one's physical fitness. There were too many. Every ancient civilization machine had a very prominent function. As Frost said, if it was not the end of the world, they would not be willing to use such a precious ancient civilization machine. After all, if they ran out of energy, they would become a pile of scrap iron. In the training base, there will be a ranking every month based on the number of points you have, Frost said faintly. The more points you have, the higher your ranking. According to your ranking, you will be able to use the ancient civilization machine. Lin Feng nodded. He could understand. After all, these ancient civilization machines were limited by energy and could not be used indefinitely. It was normal to give priority to those who were talented and powerful. If you're in the top 10, you will be rewarded handsomely, especially the top 3. They're extremely precious. Frost looked at Lin Feng's bright eyes and said, "Don't have too much hope." Although the Junior Emperor Wu's points are multiplied by 4, compared to the Senior Emperor Wu, it is much harder to obtain points. Oh, Lin Feng was slightly disappointed. After all, the Senior Emperor Wu was only one step away from the titled martial god. It was normal to have some privileges and conveniences. You can take a look at the details of the points and ranking when you go back. Frost's voice was calm, and she suddenly stopped. Lin Feng exclaimed softly. He raised his head and saw a flat pagoda-shaped existence. It was incomparably huge, exuding a strange bronze light. It looked like many small mountains were stacked on top of each other, each layer taller than the one before. 33 layers of heaven. Frost nodded. This is one of the points. It is also the most important thing in the training base. The most important thing? It was a very important sentence. 33 layers of heaven. Lin Feng murmured. He looked over and felt that this flat, tower-like pang was much more mysterious. Suddenly, a light flashed. A strange figure walked out from the 33 layers of heaven. Lin Feng looked over and could not help but exclaim. The strange figure was very thin and small. It was not even 1 meter tall. It was as thin as a withered leaf. Its skin was solid and dull, but its head was strangely big. It was like a watermelon on a cross. It was very uncoordinated. That kind of feeling made people laugh. Lin Feng's lips curled up slightly. He could not help showing curiosity in his eyes. However, such a tiny movement instantly caught the strange figure's eyes. In an instant, light shone everywhere. Please subscribe. Please recommend. The days when I don't have any chapters. I'm 45 minutes late again. How shameless. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 121. A powerful aura burst out from the eyes of the strange figure. Soul power. Lin Feng's head shook. Lin Feng's eyes were like black holes. A pitch-black light shot out with a terrifying soul energy. Lin Feng did not appear weak at all. This was his instinctive reaction to an attack. Bang! The air vibrated, like Mars colliding with Earth. Lin Feng and the strange figure both took 2 steps back. They were evenly matched. You! A sharp voice like that of an electric eel sounded. The strange figure trembled violently, as if he had been greatly insulted. His eyes shone with a cold light. Such strong soul power. Lin Feng was shocked, but he would not back down. He could even kill someone as strong as Greenwood Dove. Why would he back down from a strange dwarf? Cowering, what kind of appearance was that? At most, he would fight. At this moment, an ice-cold aura suddenly spread out like frost falling to the ground, powerful and resonating. The terrifying aura caused the air to stop, as if it had turned into ice. Lin Feng was shocked. He looked over and saw Bing Shuang's star-like eyes shining brightly. The cold light was sharp. Impudent, a cold voice resounded. Instantly, the strange dwarf's face turned pale. The voice seemed to resound in his mind. Lin Feng was shocked, and his heart was shocked. This was the true strength of a titled martial god. No wonder Teacher Bing Shuang said, breaking through to the titled martial god realm is a sublimation of life. Lin Feng was shocked. Although it was just a glimpse, the soul power that Bing Shuang had revealed was far from what he could compare to. Private fights are forbidden in the training grounds. Bing Shuang glanced at Lin Feng and looked at the strange dwarf with her cold eyes. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you are talented. This is a warning for you. If there is a next time, you will be severely punished. The strange dwarf bit his lips, and his eyes were filled with arrogance as he stared at Lin Feng. Did you hear that, Huan Yao? Bing Shuang's voice was like an ice cellar, emitting a cold light. Lin Feng suddenly felt the temperature drop, and his body inexplicably shivered. So he is that Huan Yao. While thinking, Lin Feng had already remembered that this strange dwarf in front of him was the one that Teacher Frost had mentioned before. He was the only senior martial grandmaster. Yes, Huan Yao had no choice but to lower his head in the face of that majestic aura. Huan Yao's eyes were filled with jealousy and hatred as he stared at Lin Feng like a poisonous snake. He gritted his teeth and nodded repeatedly. Humph. Huan Yao coldly glanced at him from the corner of his eyes, snorted, and left. You too, Lin Feng. Frost turned around and said coldly, we don't care about nepotism here. If you make a mistake, I won't tolerate it. Since you didn't know this, go back and read the instructions for students in detail. Don't make such a mistake again. Yes, teacher. Lin Feng nodded. This was no longer the firmament city where he could cover the sky with one hand. Even if he killed someone, he could swagger around. No matter where he was, the strong were respected. Huan Yao is indeed gifted, but his temperament. Bing Shuang suddenly sighed, as if it was a pity. Due to the weakness of his body, he has an inferiority complex. Due to this inferiority complex, he has developed all kinds of negative emotions. Lin Feng shook his head indifferently. The flaw in his personality has been magnified. I only glanced at him, but he thought I was mocking him and looking down on him. In fact, the person who looked down on him was himself. If one's heart was righteous, why would they be afraid of gossip? It was only because he felt inferior that he felt that others also felt inferior when they looked at him. In the end, there was only one word to describe it: one's heart. After roughly familiarizing himself with the training base, Lin Feng immediately returned to room 111. This was an extremely large energy civilization ruin. The place he was in was only the tip of the iceberg, not even 1% of it. After all, the most important thing in the martial god tempering plan was the ancient civilization machinery here. Everything else was secondary. Flipping open the instructions for students, Lin Feng carefully read it. He didn't want to make the same mistake a second time. If he made a mistake because he didn't know it, it was pardonable. But if he did it knowingly, it was stupid. The only one who would lose would be himself. Private fights are prohibited in the training base. Private exchanges and trading of points are prohibited in the training base. Lin Feng seriously flipped through the instructions for students. Not only did it contain some doctrines, it also had some simple introductions and instructions for the training base. For example, there was no teleportation formation in the training base. Similarly, all kinds of locators and communication devices couldn't be used. This place was like another world, isolated from the outside world. Lin Feng immediately turned on the fluorescent compass. As expected, headache. Lin Feng frowned slightly. Wouldn't this mean that he wouldn't be able to contact his family for a long time? Fortunately, I left 100 million Tianwu coins for my brother. Lin Feng secretly praised his luck. That day, he had only saved it for emergencies. After all, the incident last time in the mysterious sea of fire was still vivid in his mind. He had almost caused chaos in his family for such a small amount of money. Plus, with the sect leader watching over, there shouldn't be any big problems. Lin Feng nodded. Before he left, he had specially instructed Qin Hua. The latter agreed without hesitation. What I should do is to concentrate on my cultivation and reach the minimum requirement to break through to the titled martial god realm. Only by becoming a titled martial god will I have the qualifications and ability to truly protect my family. Soon, Lin Feng flipped to the last page of instructions for students. Title: Points. Points are calculated once a month. The higher the points, the more rewards you will receive, and the more time you can use the ancient civilization's machinery. Lin Feng read. The content was very familiar. Frost had already told him about it. In a martial god tempering plan, the higher the talent and strength of a martial artist, the more points they would receive. Then, the more rewards he got, the more time he had to use the ancient civilization's machinery. It was a virtuous cycle. The strong would receive more resources, and the weak would be eliminated. It was just that realistic. Points are made up of 3 parts. Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly as he continued reading. First, Dragon Spine Road points. Every time you pass a section of the Dragon Spine Road, you will receive 1 point, limited to once a month. Second, 33 levels of heaven points. Every time you pass a level, you will receive 1 point, limited to once a day. Third, Tempering Pool points. Once every 5 days. Dragon Spine Road, 33 levels of heaven, Tempering Pool. The 3 parts of points. Lin Feng nodded and memorized it in his heart. He continued reading and saw what Frost had told him. Points. Beginner Emperor Wu, points multiplied by 4. Intermediate Emperor Wu, points multiplied by 2. Advanced Emperor Wu, points multiplied by 1. To maintain the balance. After all, the stronger one is, the more points they will receive. Lin Feng slowly closed the book. I have already tried the Dragon Spine Road. I wonder what this 33 levels of heaven and tempering pool are. He was very curious, especially the 33 levels of heaven. It was praised by Frost as the most important thing in the training base. One could imagine how useful it was. At this moment, knock, knock. A light knock sounded on the door. HM? Lin Feng was startled. He had just entered the training base. He didn't seem to know anyone. Curious, Lin Feng opened the door. "Hello." A pleasant voice sounded. Lin Feng's eyes immediately lit up. What entered his eyes was a young girl who was a head shorter than him. Her short hair was neatly trimmed. She was wearing a yellow outfit. She exuded the aura of a young girl. Her bright eyes seemed to be able to speak. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. "Hello." Without a doubt, looking at the young girl's age, she was definitely a student. "My name is Zhao Xiaoro. I came in yesterday. I will be staying next to you." Zhao Xiaoro smiled sweetly and showed the key in her hand. Lin Feng looked at the 110 number and smiled. Indeed, there was only one number between them. "My name is Lin Feng. I just arrived." Lin Feng smiled. From Zhao Xiaoro's eyes, he didn't see any hostility. It was obvious that not all students were as aggressive as Huan Yao. In this unfamiliar training base, he had just arrived. If he could make another friend, it would be beneficial. "Aren't you going to invite me in?" Zhao Xiaoro winked mischievously. "Haha, please come in." Lin Feng smiled awkwardly. The two looked at each other and smiled. Immediately, the unfamiliarity disappeared. Cloud Sun City. That bastard. He actually ran away. Fire God was so angry that he blew his beard and glared. We were one step too late. Sect Master Scarlet Centipede sighed. It must be this Lin Feng who did it. Otherwise, why would he have a guilty conscience and run away so quickly? Fire God said angrily. Sect Master Scarlet Centipede shook his head speechlessly. According to the information, this fire spirit master called Lin Feng left Cloud Sun City because he accepted the martial god tempering plan. It was also a coincidence that he just brushed past. "No, I have to go to Heaven Breaking City to find him." Fire God's eyes were burning. "Calm down, Great Elder," Sect Master Scarlet Centipede shouted. Looking at Fire God's anxious expression, he frowned and said, "So what if you can enter Heaven Breaking City? Can you enter the ancient civilization ruins? If you go one step further and find Lin Feng, what can you do? Kill him?" Sect Master Scarlet Centipede shook his head indifferently. "In Shou's territory, you can't touch a single hair of his." Although Fire God was furious, he knew what Sect Master Scarlet Centipede said was true. Fire God body seemed to have lost its strength. He couldn't help but stagger a few steps and clench his teeth. "Don't tell me I'm not going to take revenge. What's the hurry?" Sect Master Scarlet Centipede said. "Will he hide in Heaven Breaking City for the rest of his life? Fine, I'll wait." Fire God's eyes were cold and sharp. "Let him drag out an ignoble existence for a while. When he leaves Heaven Breaking City is the time of his death." Second update, a little late. Sorry, everyone at _at. Continue writing. Xiao will try to publish the next chapter on time. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 122. Training Base. So that's how it is. Lin Feng nodded. He had learned a lot of useful information from Zhao Xiaoro, such as the 33 layers of heaven and the tempering pool. The Dragon Spine Road tested a martial artist's temperament and soul power. The 33 layers of heaven tested a martial artist's battle strength, FA gene techniques, and movement techniques. The tempering pool tempered a martial artist's body, testing their willpower and physical strength. The points from the 33 layers of heaven, plus the points from the tempering pool, multiplied by the points from the Dragon Spine Road, and the points from the Dragon Spine Road. The martial god tempering plan's main purpose is to nurture a titled martial god. The points are divided into two aspects, soul power and body. It's very clear. Lin Feng murmured, the so-called total points are actually the multiplication of soul power and body talent. It was just that it was expressed in a different way. All right, Lindigo. Zhao Xiaoro pointed to the square screen and smiled. You still don't know how to use this time integrator, right? Time integrator? Hearing Zhao Xiaoro's words, Lin Feng finally noticed the bright screen at the side of the lounge. It was as smooth as a mirror, and he didn't notice it at first. Hear this. Zhao Xiaoro smiled and picked up Lin Feng's 111 key. She placed it under the screen and touched it lightly. Suddenly, beep, the screen lit up. So, this isn't just a key. Lin Feng smiled. Of course. Zhao Xiaoro smiled and pointed at the light screen that was already flashing with black words. She introduced, actually, this time integrator is very simple. It has a total of 2 functions. One is the checkpoints. As she spoke, Zhao Xiaoro lightly tapped on a light screen, and the image on the light screen suddenly changed. 1. Fong Ning, 32-2. Duga Phone 8-3. Delu 1 or 6, 95. Zhao Xiaoro, 110, 111. Lin Feng, 111. From top to bottom, there were a total of 111 names, which corresponded to the 111 students in the training base. The number in front is the ranking, and the number behind is the serial number. As Zhao Xiaoro spoke, she couldn't help but proudly puff out her small chest. Xiaoro is currently ranked 95th, Linda Ge. Amazing. Lin Feng gave him a thumbs up. His praise came from the bottom of his heart. Just as Teacher Frost had said, those who were still able to stay in the training base and enjoy the resources of Hunt were all elites among elites. He was the pinnacle genius of the entire Martial Heaven continent. Those who had no hope of breaking through to the titled Martial God realm in a short period of time had already been eliminated. For example, Zhao Xiaoro, who was 2 years younger than him, was already a water elemental celestial spirit master at the level of Junior Emperor Wu. She could kill an advanced giant beast lord on her own. When he thought of the time, when he was her age, Lin Feng couldn't help smiling. By the way, Xiaoro, where do I check the points in the time integrator? Lin Feng asked curiously. The points of the other students are hidden. Zhao Xiaoro shook her head. Every student has their own privacy. After all, the conversion of points is not too difficult. If you know the points, you can find out some secrets if you want to. Therefore, everyone can only check their own points. Lin Feng nodded as if he understood something. His gaze fell to the bottom of the screen. His own points were eye-catching, 45. 2 points. I don't have any points in the tempering pool and the 33 layered heavens. In other words, my points in the Dragon Spine Road are 11. 3. Lin Feng calculated. 11. 3 multiplied by 4 was exactly 45. 2. Lindigo, why are your points so low? Zhao Xiaoro frowned slightly, then smiled. I know. Lindigo, you must be good at fighting as a fire elemental spirit master. You're not used to the fighting style of the warriors in the 33 layered heavens. Lin Feng didn't hide his identity. In fact, in the training base, the students who scored more than 13 points were all legendary celestial spirit masters. Although celestial spirit masters were extremely rare in the entire Tianwu continent, there were still quite a few. One must know that there were even monstrous geniuses like Huan Yao, who had mutated souls. Celestial spirit masters were undoubtedly much more common. I haven't entered the 33 layered heavens. Lin Feng shook his head. This should be the points of the Dragon Spine Road. What? Zhao Xiaoro's expression changed instantly. She looked at Lin Feng in shock. Then the points of the Dragon Spine Road. Zhao Xiaoro counted in her mind. She cried out involuntarily. Heavens, 11. 3 points? Yes. Lin Feng nodded. Looking at Zhao Xiaoro's shocked expression, he couldn't help but laugh. What is it very high? After a while, Zhao Xiaoro came back to her senses. It's not just high, it's terrifyingly high. Zhao Xiaoro covered her mouth with both hands. She said in shock, Lindigo, do you know the basic requirements to break through to the titled Martial God Realm? Lin Feng shook his head. Cross the 8th section of the Dragon Spine. Zhao Xiaoro's eyes shone. An ordinary celestial spirit master at the level of Emperor Wu would find it hard to surpass 10 points in the Dragon Spine Road. Then what about Huan Yao? Lin Feng immediately thought of that dwarf freak. Lindigo, you know about that freak so quickly? Zhao Xiaoro stuck out her tongue. If that narrow-minded guy hears you, you can't do that. Lindigo, you have to be careful. If you meet him, don't stare at him or smile at him. Don't show any curious expression. That guy, there's something wrong here. Zhao Xiaoro couldn't help but point at her own head. She smiled helplessly. Lin Feng couldn't help but smile. When he heard these words, he might have already offended Huan Yao. However, what did it matter? I heard from others that Huan Yao's Dragonspine road points are around 13 points. Zhao Xiao said enviously. Although that guy looks like a freak, his soul power is indeed terrifyingly strong. His Dragonspine road points in the entire training base. Even if he isn't number 1, he's definitely number 2. But that's because he has a soul mutation. Linaguyu. Zhao Xiao looked at Lin Feng as if she was looking at a freak. I don't have a soul mutation. Lin Feng smiled. In an instant, Zhao Xiao was also happy. Since Lin Feng wasn't willing to say, Zhao Xiao naturally wouldn't dwell on this issue. After all, everyone had their own secrets. Exiting the points search, Zhao Xiao pressed the bottom screen. Instantly, she entered another interface. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Strength amplification space, 20 points of light. Speed amplification space, 20 points of light. Advanced gravity training room, 10 points of light. Illusory heart room, 5 points of light. At least 3 points of light, 5 points of light, and at most 10 points of light, 20 points of light. They were arranged in rows. The ones in front should be ancient civilization equipment. But what is this time point at the back? Lin Feng was curious. Time points are given at the beginning of each month, according to the ranking. Zhao Xiao smiled as she explained. She gently pulled the interface to the bottom. Lin Feng suddenly saw a clear number, 50 points of light. Every student who enters the training base will be given 50 points of light. From the next month onwards, the points will be given out according to the ranking. Zhao Xiao said slowly. The number at the end represents the amount of time points used to enter the ancient civilization equipment for 2 hours. Lin Feng instantly understood. However, he smiled bitterly and shook his head. These 50 points of light were clearly not enough. For example, if he entered the strength amplification space, he would need 60 points of light for 6 hours. There's no other way. After all, there are too many monks and too little gruel. There are 111 students in the training base. Lin Feng sighed. It was like a pancake. If there were too many people, he would definitely get less. Today is already the 19th of January. Zhao Xiao sighed. There are only 11 days left until the end of the month. We entered too late. According to the current ranking, I'm afraid we can only get the lowest 20 points of light in February. 20 points of light? Lin Feng frowned. If he couldn't use the ancient civilization equipment, his cultivation efficiency would undoubtedly be greatly reduced. Yes, Zhao Xiao's eyes glowed. If you enter the top 60, you will get 50 points of time points or more. If you enter the top 30, you will get more than 100 points. What's the highest? Lin Feng asked curiously. The first place of the month will be rewarded with 1,000 points of time points. In addition, there seems to be other material rewards. Zhao Xiao said enviously. 1,000 points of time points? That's a lot. Lin Feng's heart thumped. Indeed, there was a huge gap between those who were ranked at the top and those who were ranked at the bottom. The martial god-tempering plan has just begun. The competition in the first month will definitely be fierce. Zhao Xiao nodded. Whoever can take the lead will have the upper hand. Yes, Lin Feng understood. The higher the points, the more resources they could use. The gap in strength would also be wider. There's still 10 days. It's very important. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Guaranteed at least 20 points of time points? Obviously, this wasn't what he wanted. If I enter the top 30, I will get more than 100 points of time points. Lin Feng thought to himself. My minimum goal is to enter the top 60 and ensure that I get more than 50 points of time points. 10 days is enough. Although the competition was extremely fierce and a group of monstrous geniuses had gathered, as for his strength, Lin Feng was full of confidence. 33 levels of heaven. Phew, Lin Feng let out a long breath when he arrived in front of the majestic flat tower. Looking at it from afar and up close was completely different. The majestic tower seemed to have been there for a certain number of years. However, the structure of the tower was not damaged at all. The bronze light was imprinted in his eyes, giving off a steady feeling, as if it had a life of its own. The east, south, west, and north entrances. Lin Feng looked at the tightly shut tower door in front of him and stood there calmly. This meant that someone had already entered this entrance. At most, only 4 martial artists could enter at a time. 33 levels of heaven should also be an ancient civilization machine, Lin Feng thought. But is there such a big, ancient civilization machine? Lin Feng was slightly puzzled. Under the guidance of Frost, he had seen all kinds of ancient civilization machines. However, compared to this 33 levels of heaven, it was like the difference between an ant and an elephant. They were not on the same level at all. The ancient civilization machine has a limit to its energy and will be depleted. Therefore, it requires time points to enter. However, this 33 levels of heaven can be entered once a day, and it's free. Doesn't it consume energy? Lin Feng was filled with doubts as he shook his head. His strength was limited, and his knowledge was naturally limited. It was useless to make more guesses. At this moment, whoosh, the bronze door slowly opened. A figure slowly walked out from the crowd. It's better to be late than never. Haha. Third update, everyone, don't worry. Although I might be 1 or 2 hours late at times, I can't miss 9,000 words a day in the second month after the Chinese New Year. After all, Xiao Xiao still has the supporter family and can't slack off. From March onwards, I have to update 10,000 times a day to get a full attendance of 1,000. If you like Starry Sky, Fiery Refinement, please subscribe to support me. Thank you. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 123. Lin Feng looked over. It was a young man who was about the same height as him. He was wearing a blue shirt and pants. Although he looked thin, he gave off a strong feeling. It was as if his entire body was made of steel. The most eye-catching thing was the 2 scabbards on his waist, one short and one long. Dual swords. Lin Feng was surprised. This was the first time he saw someone using 2 swords. Moreover, the 2 swords were of different lengths. Their eyes looked at each other. Their eyes were shining. The dual swords young man smiled and nodded at Lin Feng. Lin Feng stepped forward and nodded in acknowledgement. In an instant, they brushed past each other. It was as if 2 magnetic forces had crossed each other. Lin Feng's body shook and his expression changed slightly. However, he did not stop and entered the 33 layers of heaven. The dual swords young man stopped and turned around. He smiled faintly and said, "A very good newcomer." At this time, a woman in a yellow dress walked over. Her body was like a gentle breeze. She was very charming. "What level are you now, little sword?" The woman in yellow asked with a smile. "The 8th level." The dual swords young man, little sword, shrugged. "It's only been 3 days, and you're already at the 8th level?" The woman in yellow asked in surprise. "I've reached my limit." Little sword shook his head indifferently. "It's meaningless to continue training. I'll reach the intermediate level Emperor Wu in March and challenge again." "Wow, that's good news." The woman in yellow blinked her eyes. "It seems that I can keep my 3rd place." "3rd place, Delu Wan Air." "5th place, Little Sword." One of them was in the top 3 among the 12 advanced level Emperor Wu. The other was the only beginner level Emperor Wu who was in the top 10. No matter which one it was, they were existences that the geniuses in the training base looked up to. Smiling, Little Sword shrugged non-committally. "Who knows? Maybe there's someone else besides me?" Delu Wan Air covered her mouth and smiled. "You mean Red Leopard? He's just relying on his superior physical talent. In terms of combat strength, he's trash. It's already good enough that he's ranked 4th. The corners of Little Jin's mouth lifted slightly. He did not say anything else as he left in a carefree manner. "Stinky guy, wait for me," Alua said angrily. "This is the 33 layered heavens." Lin Feng looked around in amazement. Stepping through the bronze door, he seemed to have entered a strange world. Standing in the void, he seemed to be surrounded by stars, dense nebulas, dust, and layers of fog. In an instant, a majestic force gathered from all directions, surrounding Lin Feng. His body seemed to become blurry. There seemed to be a mirror in front of him, and an existence that looked exactly like him appeared. Wah! Lin Feng's consciousness was hazy. He only felt his vision blur. Suddenly, he felt as if his entire body was upside down. The world was spinning. The first layer of heaven. In the void, a deep and imposing voice sounded. Like the sound of a bronze bell, Lin Feng woke up in an instant. He suddenly realized that his body had changed. "This is a duplicate body?" Lin Feng said in amazement. He had already known about the process of entering the 33 layered heavens from his conversation with Xiaoro. However, when it really happened, he still felt that it was a little unbelievable. He could not sense the primordial fire in his body. Similarly, there was no illusory armor or cloud shuttle. There was only a female body that was exactly the same as his own, and a long spear. "Fortunately, I still have you." Lin Feng smiled and held the ice soul soaring dragon spear. The cold touch gave him a familiar feeling, as if it was connected to his body. Lin Feng suddenly sighed. He had not practiced a spear for a long time. Compared to the primordial fire, he preferred the spear. Since he was young, he had been practicing for 10 years like a day. This relationship was quite deep. However, many times, things did not go as one wished. Boom! Rumble! A familiar sound suddenly sounded. Lin Feng looked over and saw sand and dust billowing in the distance. The earth-shattering roars of beasts came from all directions. The violent sound of iron hooves seemed to break the ground. It was the sound of numerous pig-type demonic beasts with endless blood-red eyes. Blade Hell Golden Pig. Lin Feng's eyes sparkled. The Blade Hell Golden Pig, a low-level giant beast lord, wore a golden skin, symbolizing the noble status of a low-level giant beast lord. It was abnormally fierce and terrifying. Roar! A rough roar sounded. Their huge bodies fully displayed the power of charging. The sides of their bodies sparkled like blades, incomparably sharp. There were as many as 10 of them. Good. Lin Feng's eyes brightened. His right foot suddenly stepped out. The ice soul, soaring dragon spear in his hand instantly turned into a ray of cold light, piercing forward. Bang! Blood splattered. One spear, headshot. However, Lin Feng's body staggered slightly. The terrifying force numbed his right wrist. At this moment, another Blade Hell Golden Pig roared angrily and charged forward without fear of death. Oh no! Lin Feng's expression changed greatly. He had not yet stabilized his footing. Almost instinctively, Lin Feng turned his body to the side. As he moved his feet, he used his body movement technique subconsciously. Although his right hand was still numb, his left hand shone with cold light. Chi! That Blade Hell Golden Pig's head was directly cut off. Perfect body movement technique. Lin Feng sighed softly. Although he had once grasped the essence of it, after the beast riot, he had completely forgotten about it. Although the first spear had directly stabbed the Blade Hell Golden Pig, it was a complete mess. According to Brother Ox, what he used was brute force. Start again. Lin Feng calmed his mind and moved his body, dodging the Blade Hell Golden Pig's attack again. Perfect body movement technique, once comprehended, would return. Huff! Panting lightly, Lin Feng held the ice soul soaring dragon spear. His eyes flashed with surprise. Although killing 10 Blade Hell Golden Pigs was easy for him, for the first time, he felt a strange feeling. His stamina was being depleted. Although it was slight, it was real. It seems that without the replenishment of the primordial fire, I have also become an ordinary martial artist. Lin Feng smiled casually. He did not care. Other martial artists did not need to rely on the primordial fire to replenish their stamina. Naturally, he could too. First heaven pass. Second heaven begin. Deep voices sounded in his ears. Lin Feng's eyes immediately brightened. In a split second, the originally dense corpses around him disappeared completely. Everything seemed like a dream. Lin Feng was slightly startled. Suddenly, a strong white light surrounded him. Hua! Lin Feng felt his stamina miraculously recover instantly. Roar! Roar! Terrifying beast roars sounded again. This time, it was 10 times louder than before. Lin Feng's expression changed. From the sound, it was undoubtedly the Blade Hell Golden Pigs. But it did not make sense that the second heaven would be the same as the first heaven. Very quickly, Lin Feng knew where the difference was. Oh my God! Lin Feng's eyes widened. This time, the Blade Hell Golden Skin Pigs were coming from all directions. Looking over, there was a sea of golden light. There were at least 100 of them. An hour later, Lin Feng lay on the grass with his arms and legs spread out. His face was extremely pale. He did not have any more strength. So this is what it feels like to have exhausted your stamina. The corner of Lin Feng's mouth twitched, but he did not even have the strength to smile. The ice soul, soaring dragon spear landed quietly on the grass. Lin Feng's mind suddenly recalled the intense battle just now. It was easy for him to kill the first 50 Blade Hell Golden Pigs. It only took him a stick of incense's time. But the last 50, especially the last 10 Blade Hell Golden Boars that he had to face when his stamina was completely depleted, it was simply killing him. At this moment, the second heaven passed. The third heaven began. The deep voice sounded once again. Lin Feng immediately let out a bitter laugh. It was indeed wave after wave, not giving him the slightest chance to catch his breath. Fortunately, a beam of white light flashed, and Lin Feng's eyes lit up. The exhaustion in his body instantly disappeared. In an instant, a cold light flashed. The shrill sound of something tearing through the air was mixed with the sound of something shattering. A dark brown shadow fell from the sky. Beginner level Horde Lord, man-devouring mad raccoon. Dark brown stripes covered its entire body. It had a rather small body. It looked harmless, but it had crazy attacking power. It was extremely agile in dodging and defending. If the Blade Hell Golden Pigs were considered ordinary among the initial stage Horde leaders, then the man-devouring mad raccoons were the top. Although there were only 10 of them, the threat level was higher than 100 Blade Hell Golden Pigs. After all, as long as he mastered the body movement technique and knew how to use his stamina reasonably, with the initial stage Emperor Wu's strength, it was not difficult to pass the second heaven. Lin Feng was just not used to it. But 10-man devouring mad raccoons were not so easy to deal with. Fight! Lin Feng's eyes lit up. When facing a battle, when had he ever retreated? Hiss! With a fierce look, the man-devouring mad raccoon pounced. Lin Feng quickly dodged. Although his speed was slower than the man-devouring mad raccoon, it was not much. The ice soul, soaring dragon spear in his hand shook and slashed. Just as he was about to stab, another man-devouring mad raccoon attacked. Lin Feng frowned and dodged. Such a great opportunity was lost. But there was no other way. One after another, the man-devouring mad raccoons joined the battle. Soon, Lin Feng understood what it meant to have 2 fists against 4 hands, especially when facing the smaller man-devouring mad raccoons that were faster than him. Often, in an instant, several man-devouring mad raccoons attacked consecutively. He was already exhausted from running for his life. Not to mention counterattacking, it was already good enough to dodge. Patience, Lin Feng said. I don't believe that you have no openings. After all, the man-devouring mad raccoons were not 10 in one body. Time slowly passed as Lin Feng dodged and observed his position. Now, after dodging another attack, Lin Feng's eyes suddenly lit up. After nearly an hour of hard work, he finally got his reward. Chi! The ice soul, soaring dragon spear drew a cold light, like a meteor streaking across. The cold light sparkled and instantly pierced through the neck of the man-devouring mad raccoon. The first one dead. The sharp sound of something breaking through the air sounded behind his ears, but Lin Feng did not even turn his head. As if he had foreseen it, he stepped forward, turned around, and spread out. His movements were as smooth as flowing water, as if it was made by nature. He easily dodged. Everything was difficult at the beginning. With the first one, there would be the second and third. Soon, the 10-man devouring mad raccoons all died. The third layer of heaven passed. Please subscribe, please recommend. I hope that everyone can give Xiao Xiao, who writes more than 12 hours a day, some encouragement and support. Thank you. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.